Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Luffy Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Mastermind Luffy Became Deadliest Assassin. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. The boots clicking against the tile in the hallway made the woman in the office crack a smile. Her body bounced off the wooden desk and her boots squished the flesh underneath her. She felt her bikini top shift with her movements. The tips of her fingers pulled at the clothing until it became more comfortable to move in. What a pain. She tilted her orange cowboy hat to shadow her ash-colored eyes and cover most of her brown hair. One of her hands gripped a briefcase, while the other pressed into one of the pockets of her black cargo shorts. When the door opened, the men gazed upon her half-lit frame. The moonlight peered through the windows behind her. The office chair still swirled, and the head of the person who used to sit there was by the woman's feet. The bandana over her lower face prevented the group of men from seeing her fully. The black cloth held a skull and crossbones. Her boot picked up to kick the head of the person she killed across the room. The severed head landed by the person in the front's feet. "Take it back, I don't need it." A growl came from the main guy before all the guards pulled out a gun. Not a second later, the ring of gunshots and thousands of bullets filled the room. But the woman stayed still. The bullets passed through her body with ease. The men stared at the woman with wide eyes. What are you?" one guard said before falling to his knees while trembling. The rest in the black suits only stayed frozen. The guy in the middle gritted his teeth. "Damn freak," he shouted. A tick mark formed on the woman's forehead. "I'm not a damn freak." Her hand compressed and shot back. Fire fist. Flames sparked on her limb before launching forward, sending a massive fireball towards the men. Some were able to move out of the way, but the rest were burned to a crisp. In a swift motion, the woman spun around and jumped through the windows behind her. Glass flew through the jet black sky as the wind smacked against her face. The blazing fire behind her gave her light, but besides that, it was pitch black. Her right hand added pressure to her cowboy hat to keep it steady, while the other gripped the briefcase. Her knees were pressed together, while her head tilted down towards the street. When she heard the sound of an engine, she grinned. Right on time. The brunette shifted herself in midair until she saw the bike flying towards her. Her hand grabbed the person driving it and her legs wrapped around it. "Thanks," the woman yelled to the driver. The blonde driver tilted her head toward the brunette. "And try not to jump out of 70-story buildings." The driver's baggy pants wrinkled from the air whipping against them. Their blue vest and white cravat also flapped. The brunette pulled down the bottom of the driver's coat to keep it from hitting her face. "Sorry, Sab, but hey, I got the briefcase," Anne said with pride. Sab turned her head to face her twin. Goggles covered her eyes, a top hat stuck to her head, and a black bandana hovered over her lower face. She let out a snort. "Yeah, but now look who is chasing us." Anne turned around and frowned at the cars behind them. "Go faster, it is a hover bike." "Make it hover." The blonde rolled her eyes. "And those are hover cars. What is your point? Plus, Penguin said he hasn't tested this one well." Anne's lips twitched upwards. "Looks like we have backup." Sab didn't need to turn around to know who it was. "We leave them to you, Shanks, Lou." Luffy gave a thumbs up to her sister and smiled under her bandana. She tugged on her straw hat and pulled up the sleeves of her red cardigan. "On it," Shanks assured. He pulled his hood down over his red hair until the tip reached the bridge of his nose. His hands came out of his baggy pants to cross over his white shirt, like the other three. He was also wearing a bandana with a skull and crossbones on it. Luffy lunged forward at lightning speed. Gum. Gattling. A series of fists struck the steel cars in front of her. She grinned the whole time as her fists stretched to hit their targets. Shanks closed his eyes and took a deep breath. When he opened them, waves of power came flowing out of him. "Foe," he muttered. The cars compressed like tin cans from his demand. As haki is too much for anyone to handle, but as conqueror's haki can break even steel. Sab swerved her bike to a stop and cracked her knuckles. "Let me finish this." She snickered to the remaining cars traveling down the middle lane. "I think you've done enough," a voice interjected. A tall brunette came walking past the twins, carrying a long sword. He had a white leopard print hat, spotted jeans, a dark blue hoodie, and golden earrings. Anne pouted. "Why do the other siblings get to have all the fun?" "Well, that's because we didn't ruin the mission," the brunette hissed back. His tattooed covered hand rose in the air. "Room," he whispered. When Shanks and Luffy saw the large blue bubble, they both ran to the sides to escape his range. The tattooed brunette unsheathed his sword and made slices through the air. Unattached body parts floated in the air, making some of the men pass out from shock. The man twirled his hands, making the limbs swirl around like a tornado in his bubble. When he reattached the different parts to different bodies, he turned to his sister. "Anne, you're going to be the one to get an earful," he said with an annoyed look. Shanks patted his brother's shoulder. "Relax, Law. Sengoku might not know." Luffy giggled. "Yeah, maybe he doesn't notice the large building on fire in the middle of the city for all to see." Anne's brow twitched when she saw the building. "There is no way Sengoku won't notice that." Sab rubbed her temple. This is why I do the undercover missions. Law pulled at Anne's freckled cheek. Damn it, Anne. Shanks furrowed his brow. Oh right. Won't you get in trouble because you're the captain for this mission? Shanks redhead, 6'6", age 27. He is the adopted eldest brother of the Galdi family. He is the most skilled when it comes to the use of haki. He was born with a rare power called Conqueror's Haki. Haki, a skill the siblings learned in the academy. The academy is called Laugh Tale. This school isn't like normal school. It teaches the superhumans how to hone their powers and use them for the greater good. There are 3 types of superhumans, Type A, Type B, and Type X. Type A can use powers such as Anne's fire ability. They are also known as devil fruit users. Type B can use haki, like how Shanks can use his. Type X is a person who can use both. There are many types of powers and many types of haki, but that explanation is for another time. Law groaned and pulled Anne's cheek harder. Damn it, Anne. Law brunette, 6'3", age 26. He is the second eldest adopted son in the Galdi family. He is a Type X, meaning he has a devil fruit and haki. His devil fruit has a range of abilities, from teleportation to rearranging body parts, though he can only do any of these things inside his room, which is the bubble he spawns with his hands. Missions are granted to the siblings from Sengoku, the fleet admiral. He is the controller of all the academies and some stations in the military. He made different academies to suit supernaturals when he deemed them too dangerous to be known to the world. Laugh Tale isn't the only academy. The Moby Dick, Cake Island, and Onigashima. These schools teach and train children how to become assassins. Each child that goes to these schools are called pirates. Pirates work under different people depending on what academy they grew up in. The highest rank of pirate is the Pirate King, Galdi Roger, the siblings' father. The second highest are the emperors. The emperors are Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom. You can only count as an emperor when you turn 29, have a massive amount of strength, and have a crew that works under you. Also, Sengoku must deem you as an emperor. The king does have a crew as well, the Roger Pirates. This crew also includes the siblings, making them the 3rd highest in rank. Under the siblings are their sectors. Luffy controls the Straw Hat Pirates, Shanks controls the Red-Haired Pirates, and Law controls the Heart Pirates. Sab and Anne do not have one because they don't see the need for them. Sab sighed and took her brother's tattooed hand off her twin's swollen face. Hurry up, we have to cuff them and bring them back to Sengoku. Anne Brunette, Freckles, 6'0", age 24. 3rd eldest in the Galdi family by 2 minutes. She has a Type X power called the Flame Fruit. This lets her body turn into flames, produce flames, and become a walking heater. She also is skilled in different haki types. Sab Blonde, 6'0", age 24. 4th eldest of the Galdi family. Only by 2 minutes. She is a Type B, meaning she can only use haki, not like she needs a power. Her preferred weapon of choice is the long thin pipe on her back. I can't wait to see Sengoku's face blow up. Tishishi. Luffy grinned. Luffy Brunette, 5'8", age 22. The youngest in the Galdi family. She is a Type X. She can use a power in haki. Her power is called the Gum Gum Fruit. It makes her body rubber. There is no further explanation I can give you. Might as well hurry up then, Shanks said as he trotted to the nearly dead men on the road. The siblings took their time cleaning. None of them are in a hurry to get an earful from Sengoku. 0 equals 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 0. The man with the afro and braided beard slapped his hand against the screen in front of him. On the screen showed today's news report about last night's activities. The news reporters are saying that the Flame Master has struck again, a local arsonist who has been setting fires around the city. But the only thing they haven't realized is that it isn't an arsonist. It's a young adult that can't control her abilities and temper to save her life. His fingers curled on the screen, a sign of him getting ready to scream his heart out. What the hell were you thinking? The scream was directed to the uneasy young adult sitting in front of him. All the siblings felt like they were back at the academy. Law looked towards his younger sister with sharp eyes, and kept her head low to avoid eye contact. Sab only sighed and trailed her hand through her blonde locks. Shanks suddenly found the wall interesting and stared at it to get out of the conversation. Luffy was raising her hand in the air as if it was a class. Sengoku grew an exhausted expression when he saw the youngest jittering up and down on the ground. She was a female Roger, rambunctious, has selective hearing, and is always thinking of something off topic. But, also like Roger, she is weirdly perceptive and can make an enemy her friend. Yes, Luffy, Sengoku spoke. Luffy put her hand down and gave the old man a toothy grin. Can we leave now? No, he shouted back. Luffy frowned and stuck out her tongue. Stupid Sengoku. Sengoku ignored the lady and shifted his gaze to the next sibling. Shanks is the glue that holds the group together and always has your back no matter what. He is the only one who can make N calm down. The only one who can make Sab stop being stubborn. The only one who can get Luffy to focus. And the only one who can make Law not spiral. He is the strongest of the siblings. If he was older, he could be an emperor. His sector is nothing to scoff at either. Ben Beckman, Lucky, Yasopp, etc. Shanks, you didn't do anything about it? The redhead turned to face the old man. Last time I checked, I'm removed from the captain position. The man said with a small pout. Shanks was removed from being captain of the mission when he showed up drunk to meetings. Multiple times. Since then, Sengoku has banned the man from having alcohol. Sengoku's other hand went back onto his temple to rub it. He looked to the next one, which would be the blonde. Sab. Sab is the most level-headed one in the group. She is also one of the few people that graduated the academy early. The woman sometimes works with the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries work with Roger and his academy to gather information. She is best friends with the commander, Koala. They have been friends since they met in the first year of the academy. Don't look at me, I wasn't the captain either, she said with a small eye roll. Sengoku then looked to Law. Law, Tora, Traffy, Trafalgar, whatever you want to call him. He controls the heart sector and the medical sector in Roger's academy. The boy is beyond genius, yet he has some temper issues. He also works closely with the revolutionaries and gathers information. His two right-hand men, Shachai and Penguin, design and create all the technology used in the academy. Law has a power called the Opa Opa fruit, which helps him in the medical field. The man isn't called the surgeon of death for nothing. I'm the captain, not a full-time babysitter. He snorted. Sengoku pursed his lips. That's what I thought too. Then I met Roger. Anne pouted. I already said sorry. Anne is as hot as her flames. She tries to control her temper, but sometimes it sparks up. As you saw before, even though she is hot-tempered, you can't hate her conviction and determination. A cackle drew the siblings' attention. It was from a big man with gray hair eating rice crackers. Garp couldn't contain his laughter. It was all so familiar. You guys are really like your parents. Even though Shanks and Law don't have the same biological parents, they act like they're adopted ones. Though, they don't think much of their biological ones. Sengoku snapped his head at the Admiral. You shut up, Garp. This is all your fault. Garp, Roger, Rayleigh, and Dragon train the siblings. Garp is their grandfather, though not by blood. He has a very close connection with Roger, and he has for years. Rayleigh is their uncle, again, not by blood. Rayleigh has been best friends with their father for decades, ever since they both were only 7 years old. Roger's generation was the first to develop the powers, though no one knows how. Garp slapped his knee as tears streamed down his face. Sengoku groaned a curse under his breath. What about the hoverbike? Is it in good condition? Yes, Sab answered. Well, that's good at least. Sengoku flicked his eyes to each sibling. Law, go give a report to Penguin and Shachai about the bike. Make sure they check it. Shanks, I need you to try your hacky on new equipment. Luffy, go ask your crew for the updates on the new recruits for the Laugh Tale Academy. Sab, I need you to check out the new combat suits. Go with Shanks. And Anne, go write a report for the mission. I don't have any urgent missions for you to take. Go pick one off the mission board. Mission board, it's in the name. A board of missions. When there isn't an urgent mission needed to be done, the siblings take one off the board. If it is completed, they get profit. Though, they do get charged for whatever damage they cause. The siblings left without another word. All of them going their separate ways. And Pav, I tugged my bandana higher to cover my nose. In the assassin business, no one outside your academy can see your face. A sigh left my lips when I remembered where I was going. Sabayati. Sabayati located in the underground city the academies are stationed. The underground city is top secret. It is where the power holders that have different physical forms live. For example, fishmen. They live on Fishman Island, a section of the underground city leading out into the ocean. The underground city is called the Red Line. Sabayati is another section on the Red Line. That is where every pirate gets their missions, including ones that belong to another academy. Fishman, it's in the name, half man, half fish. They aren't considered the same as Type A, B, and X because they are a different race entirely. This race has also been kept from the world to ensure peace and tranquility. Some say that was the reason why the government was so flexible with Roger's plan. Merfolk are also included in this exotic species, but they are different. When merfolk turn a certain age, their tails split in two. It is a painless process. It allows the merfolk to take a more human form. Even so, both fishmen and merfolk can still be Type A, B, and X. Along with the fishmen is a pirate group called the Fishman Pirates. The leader of this pirate group is named Fisher Tiger. Fisher Tiger, a legend who freed slaves from the celestial dragons, is the headmaster of the Laugh Tale Academy. His pirate group also works under the Laugh Tale Academy, but they are all retired. Well, almost all of them. Celestials, they are known as the untouchables. They are the ancestors of the people who formed the government they have today. Touching one is a sin. Even looking at one can be deadly. Fisher Tiger is the only man who was able to infiltrate their base and free slaves. Sengoku knows this but keeps his whereabouts a secret from his higher-ups. The fleet admiral isn't fond of the untouchables either. My hands dug into my pockets and my back scrunched. I always hate going to Sabayati. The place may be a bar, but it is more intense than your average one. You can run into anyone there. The sweet smell of fried food caressed my nose, almost making me forget the reason I was here. A larger hand tapped against my shoulder. I swayed my head around and smiled at the person behind me. "Hey, Jimb." A large blue-skinned fishman smiled back at me. He had a pale red kimono with white and black patterning on it, gills engraved on his thick neck, and his cloud-like eyebrows perched above his dark eyes. Jimb is a close friend of mine, and a member of Luffy's crew. Jim doesn't need to wear a mask. He was a teacher at many different academies. There is no need when everyone already knows him. "It's nice seeing you too, Ace." Ace is my code name. It is also the name tattooed on my thigh, though few people have seen the ink. My wanted poster has the name Fire Fist Ace. Every pirate has a code name. The Dark King, Surgeon of Death. Sam's code name is Spades. Together, me and her are the Ace of Spade twins. Me and her have a tying bounty of 550 million berries. Bounties are ranking systems for pirates. For example, Law has a bounty of 400 million, so I'm a bigger threat than him. But that's mostly because he is more of a tactician than a frontline fighter. Also, if you take down someone with a bounty, your bounty increases, same for missions. The higher the mission, the bigger your bounty gets, but your bounty can also decrease. If you fail a big-time mission, it can drop. Me and Jin talked till we got to the Sabayati bar. I best be going. Tiger is waiting for me. I waved at the fishman and turned my attention to the dark wooden doors in front of me. The outside walls were a pale yellow and the sign on top was made out of wood. The words Sabayati Bar were painted in red on the sign. My lips pursed and my hand gripped the doorknob. I gave it a small squeeze before pushing forward and opening the door. People chatted at tables while others either played pool or drank. All that stopped when I came into the room. My ash-colored eyes trailed from one tanned wall to the next. All eyes were on me. They all recognized the mark on my bandana. My father's pirate mark is on the cloth. It's no wonder they were stunned. I let out an annoyed sigh. They seem more on edge. My thoughts stopped, my body stiffened, and my teeth snapped onto my lip. So that's why they were so on edge. Another pirate mark caught my eye. It was Whitebeard's. Sharp eyes clashed with mine. They were dark and bitter towards me, but the feeling was mutual. The sharp eyes belonged to a mop of long dark hair and a pink kimono. The 16th commander of the Whitebeard pirates, the sharpshooter. In a blink, my eyes moved to the person beside him. Honey hair, light brown eyes, and a slim figure belonged to the other. She wore a black button-up with white pants. 4th commander of the Whitebeard pirates, the haki user. Unlike the 16th, her eyes were more surprised than crude. Lastly, there was one more. Their back was turned to me. All I could see was their purple jacket. I don't have a problem with it. These people are the last people I wanted to run into. Whitebeard and my dad have been rivals for years. That legacy has also been passed down. The commanders have the same ranking as me and my siblings. Right now, we have kept in the lead, but only by a little. My black boots tapped against the wood on the ground. It made everyone continue to stare. The 3 commanders were right in front of the mission board, but that didn't stop me. I stopped a foot in front of the 16th commander, snarling under my bandana. "Move," I hissed through my teeth. His eyes trailed down my outfit, which was a bikini top and cargo shorts. I could almost hear the mental scoffing he was doing. My foot took a step forward, pushing past the man with a grunt. Ash-colored orbs scanned the missions posted on the board. I wanted to get out of here fast. "I see your attitude is as bad as your temper." My gloved hand paused before touching the board. Damn it. So everyone already knows about my mess-up last night. It doesn't matter, I only came here for a job. The movement in my hand resumed. It's a shame Red-Haired wastes his time with you people. He should have accepted our offer to join. With Shanks's Conqueror's haki, there is no doubt the man can become an emperor. The Redhead's bounty is the highest out of everyone lower than an emperor. That is all true. But flames sparked on my neck and right arm. My body turned subconsciously, putting me right in front of the 16th commander. "My brother will never join you." My shout echoed, and my flames grew larger on my limb. I don't care what people say about me, but there is no way Shanks would leave us for them. To think they would even try irks me to no end. Before the Whitebeard pirates could do anything, a voice cut through our tension. "Commanders, let Fire Fist pick a job." The voice made me shiver. My hands compressed into fist and my flames went out. It wasn't only me. The 16th and 4th commander could also feel his demanding aura. I turned around. When I did, I saw half-lit blue eyes looking down at me. He also had the white bandana with the skull and crossbones. My eyes struggled not to trail down his body but failed. They were met with rock-hard abs and dark ink. The tattoo on his chest was of the Whitebeard mark. It's him. It's the 1st Division commander. The only man who can compete with my older brother. The Phoenix. Fine Phoenix. The 4th commander said with a cheery tone. My head snapped to the side and my teeth began to chew on my lip. Whatever. I cursed my higher voice and diverted my attention to a random mission on the board. I gripped the paper and walked away from the commanders quickly. Just my luck. Running into the Phoenix out of all people, I slammed the paper down in front of the bartender, who is also the mission recorder and owner. You okay there, Asai? Shaki asked with a small, amused smile. My orbs flickered to my aunt. She has short black hair, medium-sized dark eyes, full lips, prominent eyelashes, and a broad chin. Her outfit consists of a V-neck pink crop top with a black spider on it, a zip-up black jacket with light purple stripes on the side, black pants with yellow patterning, and a pink belt. Shakiaku, or Shaki for short, is the wife of Rayleigh and a former assassin. She is a Type B, meaning she can only use haki. Shaki is more of a planner than a fighter, like Law. She used to be a part-time member of the Roger Pirates. Dandy, I huffed. Shaki flicked my forehead with an eye roll. Don't you have work? Everyone in my family lives on the surface, the grand lie. We all have normal people jobs and try to fit in with the crappy economy. Sab is a lawyer, Law is a surgeon, Shanks and Luffy own a business. Not together though. And I'm a waitress. Yeah, I know. A waitress. I'm also a lawyer, but since me and Sab share a firm, I only have to come in 2-3 days a week. The waitressing is only when I'm free. Nope, I answered, stretching in my seat. My mom and dad don't work. They have enough trouble controlling the academy. Well then, you're all clear. Mission confirmed. Shaki played with the cup of liquor in her hand and stamped the paper I chose. What did I pick anyways? My eyes skimmed across the summary of the mission. Once I finished reading, I let out a groan. Law and Shanks are going to hate this. Shaki patted my head and smiled at my defeated expression. Yep. I got off my seat and waved goodbye to Shaki. Before leaving the bar, I took one last look at the commanders. The Phoenix was gone, which made me sigh in relief. Something about that man gives me a bad feeling. With a pout, I walked back to the Laugh-Tale Academy for 2 things. 1, to tell my siblings about the job. 2, to ask my eldest brother about the offer from Whitebeard that he never told me about. Lapav. My tattooed-covered hand gripped the metal doorknob to the lap. My body flinched when I heard a crash resonate inside the room. What did they do now? The first thing I do when I open the door is squeeze my eyes shut from the harassing light. When they adjusted, I sighed from the sight of Shachai floating in the air. The dorky man tipped his hat. Hey, Captain. His dimmed red locks fell over his golden eyes with a grin. He wore an open white jumpsuit and black shoes. His tan chest was displayed, along with the waistband of his boxers. I gave an exhausted wave to one of my right-hand men. Hey, Shachai. My head turned to the raven-haired man in the middle of the room. It wasn't only Shachai, but him as well. Put me down, Shachai. Penguin demanded. Shachai read, brown hair, age 25, 6 feet tall. He is a Type A. His devil fruit is telekinesis. He is one of the right-hand men of Law. Also, he designs all the technology in the Laugh-Tale Academy, along with Penguin, of course. Penguin jet black hair, age 26, 6 feet tall. He is a Type B but doesn't use haki often. He is the other half of Law's right-hand men. Shachai motioned his fingers until Penguin's feet touched the ground. I leaned against the door frame as Penguin fixed his jumpsuit. How did the mission go? His question made me groan, which was all the answer he needed. A laugh left Shachai. Did Annie mess up again? Don't be hard on her, Captain. The brunette grabbed his toolbox with his tattooed hand and walked past me. Let's go check the bike. He cheered. Sometimes I wonder how Penguin can deal with Shachai all day. I lazily followed my men to the testing arena. We didn't have to wear masks since we were in our academy, but I kept mine on. When we got to the arena, Shachai pressed a button on the bike and started to check out its stats. Are you ready for the pirate games? Penguin asked, sitting down next to me. He handed me a bottle of water before I spoke. Those are in 4 months, why worry now? The pirate games are a yearly celebration against different crews. Usually, Whitebeard's crew doesn't participate because they have missions to take care of. They aren't interested in their ranking or status. Me and my siblings also never take part. Shachai bent down to check under the bike. When he saw there was no damage, he answered, Word is you guys will be participating this year. My brow arched from the statement. And who said that? The 2 right-hand men looked at me with wide eyes. You haven't heard. They both shouted in unison. I hissed at their loud tones. Tell me already. Shachai waved his hands in the air as a defense. Sorry, we thought you knew. That. The news made my eyes widen. We're screwed. My feet moved on their own, leaving my 2 friends with the bike. This is more important. I can't believe I haven't heard about this yet. My boots tapped against the tile of the hallway as I let my thoughts float around in my mind. How could this happen? I need to find Shanks and the others. Something hard slammed against my head. When I looked up, I saw the eyes of my younger sister. Hey Traffy, Anne snorted. My ash-colored orbs darted to the paper in her hand. Is that the mission? As soon as I asked, the twin froze. Her arms moved quickly to hide the paper behind her back. But it was too late. My hands grabbed the sheet and pulled it from her grasp. With a groan, I read the paper. This is perfect, I muttered, which surprised Anne. The twin was so sure she would get an earful from me. The job was simple, gathering information about a certain wealthy family. They are having a large party this weekend. Sengoku wants us to monitor the party and to make nothing illegal going on. The reason this job made Anne annoyed is because none of us like the nobles. They are snobby and distasteful. But we need it, especially with our current predicament. I folded the paper and placed it into my pocket. With a squeeze, I grabbed Anne's wrist and started to drag her with me. Hey, wait, Law, what is going on? Without turning around, I explained. The Whitebeard pirates have been on a lot of runs recently. The statement made Anne quiet, so I continued. They are 2 missions behind us. If we fail this mission, we're crewed. The roles reversed. A fire lit under Anne's butt, making the twin start to drag me at lightning speed. Well then let's go dum-dum. Don't call me a dum-dum, flame for brains. We arrived at the training center where Shanks was. A gust of wind slammed against our faces from the haki our brother let out. Unlike our enemies, Shanks's haki has no effect on us. It might be because we are used to it, or because he chooses not to let it affect us. It's unknown. The shockwaves stopped for a moment. Me and Anne took this time to dash to him. When Ben saw us running towards his direction, he told Shanks to stop. Ben referred to as Benny by Shanks. Ben is the right-hand man to the red-haired sector, meaning he is Shanks's full-time babysitter. Ben and Shanks have known each other for years, ever since Shanks was first brought to his orphanage. Ben specializes in haki. Shanks pulled off the helmet over his head. He shook his sweaty locks before looking at Ben. Come on, Benny. I got the hang of it now, he whined. The raven-haired man let out a small snort and pointed at me and Anne. The redhead turned with the finger and placed his helmet down. What's up, guys? Shanks was in the middle of basic training to test out new equipment. His hand held out and scrunched against the water bottle thrown at him. With a popping noise, he opened the container and started to chug. The Whitebeard pirates are almost ahead of us. The news made all the water going down Shanks's throat spew out of his nose. Ben winced in disgust and rolled his eyes. Shanks wiped the water dripping from his, now burning, nose to look back up to me. For real, that is a problem. A grunt came from our sister. Mind telling us why you didn't tell us about the offer they made you? My ears twitched with the new knowledge. Offer for what? Shanks leaned against the wall with a sigh. They might have offered me a place on their team. A vein pulsed from my forehead, along with 2 others following behind it. My hands compressed into fists and placed on each side of my idiotic older brother's head. They did what? And you didn't bother to say anything. My knuckles grind against his thick skull. Of course, the one time I want the idiot to tell me something he doesn't. I understand why they would want Shanks. He is the best in the field for his age. But what are they playing at? People can switch teams, no matter their blood. Jinb is a perfect example. The only team you can't switch out of is Revolutionary. Once you are in there for life. A hand gripped mine. Can you please stop that? It hurts, Law, Shanks cried. With an annoyed hum, I let go of my idiotic brother. I should remove your head for that, I mumbled. Ben gave a thumbs up. Go ahead. There is nothing in there. Hey, Benny, Shanks pouted. A sigh left me as I let go of my brother's head. My hand grabbed at the paper Anne was holding and shoved it on Shanks's chest. As your punishment, you're the X-Mark. X-Mark is a term used among the pirates for undercover missions. When you are the X-Mark, you are the one undercover. Shanks hates being the X-Mark for 2 reasons. 1, he sucks at making up a profile to suit his reason for being in a tricky situation. The better your made-up reason, the better chance your cover will stay concealed. 2, being something he is not doesn't sit well with Shanks, unlike Sap. The younger twin is great at undercover work, since she doesn't show her emotions easily. I watched my red-headed brother as he read the mission with care. Law, no way. I suck at this kind of thing. Shanks frowned. Look at the reward. The brother's eyes glanced down at it. Okay, I don't need money. The Whitebeard pirates are 2 missions behind us. A choking noise came from Yasop. He was walking into the training center with coffee in his hands. Yasop, dirty blonde, 6'0", and the father of Usopp. He is another crew member of the red-haired pirates. Shanks has known Yasop since his first year of high school. He found the man on the streets at his rock bottom, around the time when his wife died and his kid was taken. Shanks brought him back on track in an exchange. Yasop joined the pirates. You have to be recommended to be a pirate when you don't have power. Yasop got recommended by Shanks. Later they found out he was a type B, meaning he can use haki. Whitebeard is going to beat us, he asked with wide eyes. A snort came from me. No, not if we complete that mission. Shanks looked at the poster again. I don't understand. It's only one mission. They are getting more as we speak. I leaned over my brother and pointed at the bottom of the paper. This mission was special. Read it out loud. With a furrowed brow, my brother read it. Bonus points if the person matches this description. Tall, muscular, with red hair. Shanks's eyes traveled up to me. He grew a fake smile. One that matched my mother when she got annoyed. Fuck no. I crossed my arms over my chest and popped out my hip. You don't have a choice, golden child. If you fit that description, we get more points. Do they tell you why they want this description? Doesn't matter, and already signed us up. Now, I will relay this to other sectors to make them get jobs as well. I walked away from my older brother before he could protest. We won't lose to Whitebeard. Not now, not ever. Shachai and Penguin followed me. Well then, aren't you fired up? Penguin said with his hands behind his head. Shachai leaned closer to me. Yeah, you went undercover for 2 weeks a few hours ago. Shouldn't you relax? My pace slowed down as I looked towards my right-hand men. They aren't wrong. I should be relaxing. Stressing isn't good for me. It makes me do stupid things. But I'll have Shanks on my next mission. I doubt he'll let me spiral. It's fine. Give me a brief summary of what's happened since I left. My sector works with the revolutionaries to collect information. There are 3 branches of collecting information in total. 1. My sector, which takes care of information around the world. Revolutionaries take care of the underground organizations and dealings with other academies. Lastly, the 3rd is controlled Dr. Vegapunk. No one knows anything about the man. He is one of the most important people in the world. He doesn't even belong to an academy. With Vegapunk is a team called the Blanks. They work and protect him. How many people are in this team is a mystery. I only know one person there and I have only talked to them a few times. Well, Penguin started. 5 suicides, 1 robbery, and we are getting a new sector. How new sectors join when new type as BS or XS are discovered, they're put into a no-name category. The people with no names accumulate until they form their own pirate crews. You can either stay a pirate crew and take small jobs, or join an academy and take on bigger ones. In each one of these no-name crews are captains, like how Shanks is the captain of the Red Force. He had to gather a small group, then request for them to join the Laugh Tale Academy. The captain chooses which academy their crew goes to if they want to join one. Though, it is usually a group discussion. Who's the captain of the new sector? I asked. His name hasn't been given out yet, but Sengoku told me that he has a close skill level to Demonic Demon. Demonic Demon is what they call my youngest sister, Luffy, which is accurate. Oh, did they put him as a commander then? Is he in the same ranking as me and my siblings? No, he rejected the position and said he would rather be in his own crew. So, they are giving his crew to Sab as her sector. I raised a brow. My sister doesn't want a sector. It's a sector by name. She only has to do a few checkups on it, nothing big. She is still in her ranking. Sengoku wants her to keep them in check. Well, that's good. Whoever this new captain is, they are either stupid or cocky. No one turns down our ranking. Shanks let out a sigh and re-looked at the paper for the mission. Is that true, Shanks? The redhead looked up to see his blonde sister, who was in the changing room. Sab was assigned to test out new gear made for their missions. She had dark blue, knee-high leather boots and black gloves that covered her thumb and pinky. A shadow-colored unitard stretched over her torso, leaving only a small diamond-shaped hole on her stomach. Her wavy blonde hair was tied back in a bun that left a few strands over her left cheek. The blonde pulled at her glove to make it tighter. When the fabric bounced back, it made a snapping sound against her flesh. She shook the minor sting off and repeated her question. Did the Whitebeard pirates offer you a position? Her older brother laid back on the wooden bench. His hands dug into the pockets of his fighting shorts, and his legs crossed over each other. Yes, but I turned it down. It was only a fill-in position, nothing permanent. I didn't think it mattered enough to talk about it, he said with a sigh. A smile braced the blonde's lips. Look at you, Mr. Big Shot. A grumble came from Shanks as a reply. The blonde tugged at her boots to cover more of her legs. The outfit showed more skin than she would have liked, but it was manageable. Her brother's eyes landed on her frame as he scanned her body. Sab gave a small spin to show him the rest of it. Hell no, put on some shorts. Half your ass is showing. I don't need people mentally fucking my sister around me. He chuckled. He might laugh about it, but if anyone made the wrong decision to touch his sister, he would kill them. If Sab doesn't get to them first, that is. This rule goes for all his siblings. And wears the least amount of clothing possible, which irks Shanks, but he has calmed down about it. Kinda. Sab pulled down on the fabric gripping her butt. You're right, I'll ask Penguin to make a pair. Their gear is more durable than regular clothing. It is also more flexible. Perfect for missions. Yasop's footsteps caught the siblings' attention. You guys want to run a practice round? They both nodded. All right, pick a game. Sam spoke first. Discs. It shouldn't be hard. Shanks nodded in agreement. The training center is a massive area surrounded by water. Right now, the siblings are in the sitting station, which is the perimeter of the arena. The area in the center is suited for multiple games, though no one knows how it works except for Shachai and Penguin. Yasop and Ben know the simple controls. The reason why it is surrounded by water is because water is a power holder's weakness, but only type is in excess. When they touch water, it makes their body weak, hence the reason why they cannot swim. If you are a type B like Sab, the water does not affect you. Sab watched as Ben and Yasop set up her favorite game, discs. Discs on the ground are special circular discs made out of stone. You can control these objects using haki or special gear. You can make them float, change direction, or break them apart in midair. When playing the game, you are not allowed to use any type of devil fruit, no matter the situation. The object of the game is to throw a disc at your opponent without crossing the center line. On each side are 3 thinner lines. If you get knocked back or step behind one of the thinner lines, you can't pass it any longer, meaning your opponent gains more ground than you do. Soon enough, you'll pass the 3rd line and fall into the water, ending the game and crowning the winner. It's a simple and fun game that they taught the siblings at the academy. Wow, challenging me to the game you are best at. I see how it is, Shanks said with a pout. Sab is the best at discs. Not even her eldest brother could beat her. It is because of how nimble she is, plus her haki skills are nothing to scoff at. The sound of metal hitting metal caught the two's attention. Both siblings turned to the 2 large doors in the front of the room. 4 men walked into the area, all of them wearing a laugh-tail symbol. Even though they had their mark, it didn't stop Sab from scanning each one. 3 of the men walked in front. 2 of them had a bandana while the other had a blue and white mask. The mask looked thick, but had holes carved into it for sight and air. One of the men wearing a bandana had light blue, wavy hair. It looked frizzy and messy but matched the vibe the man was giving out. Another one had a thin brown cloak over his body with sharp dark horns peering from it. The bandana covered most of his facial features but showed his thin brows and tanned skin. The masked man walking in the middle wore a white spotted jacket over a tight blue shirt. The shirt had a regular skull and crossbones in darker fabric. Plus he had spiky blonde hair that ended at the back of his knees. Interesting. Sab's eyes couldn't take in the one behind, but she is already intrigued by the group. Keep it in your pants, Sab, Shanks said in a teasing manner. Sab took a seat near her brother. Who are they? She asked, unaffected by her childish brother's comment. Shanks shifted so he was sitting up. That is the new sector Benny was talking about. I heard their captain is good. The man in the back. As if on cue, the 3 men parted, revealing a 6'8" man with broad shoulders. His face was hidden but his chest was exposed. He wore baggy maroon pants, black leather boots, and a large black cloak. His chest was engraved with muscles and made from pale skin. A scar carried up his shoulder and led to his face. Wow, you're drooling, Sab. The redhead teased again. Sab raised a brow. Excuse me? Her hands crossed over her chest and her foot tapped against the ground. I was only observing. Shanks rolled his eyes and mumbled the same sentence with a mocking tone. It doesn't matter. Since your ass is hanging out, I doubt their eyes will keep off you either. The eldest brother watched a spark flare in his sister's mind. She pulled down the bottom of her outfit, but that only made it tighten around her chest. Sab has always hated the size of her chest. They are not practical. She rather have small breasts like Anne. The brunette twin has wider hips and a smaller chest, while Sab is the other way around. Luffy has a little of both, making her body doll-like. The pressure on her chest became suffocating, and, in the end, she gave up. I hate these things, she hissed, glaring at her boobs. They can't be that bad. It's like having 2 floaties on you at all times. Shanks laughed, spoken like a true virgin. Ben interjected. Shanks stopped laughing from the comment and flushed a bit. Shut up, Benny, the redhead hissed. Sab was about to comment when she felt someone walk behind her. She turned her head and was face to face with the guy in the blue mask. He was 6'5", a few inches taller than her, but Sab carried herself with confidence and raised a brow at the man. There is no need to wear a mask. It's considered rude amongst your comrades, she said with a smidge of attitude. A grunt came from the man in return. Does it make a difference? When the man saw the challenging look Sab gave him, he started to unhook his mask. He had light blue eyes, a scar on his right cheek, and a patch of blonde hair on his chin. Spiky bangs hung over his forehead and crossed over the bridge of his nose. Are you happy? Yes, my name is Sab. The woman shot out her hand with a plastered smile. I don't do greetings, the man said with a huff. Well, you do now. I am your superior after all, she said through her teeth. So this is Goldie Sab. This is the girl who is controlling our sector. That means we will be seeing a lot of her. Killer, the man said, looking down at the hand she was holding out. With a sigh, he grabbed it and shook it. Killer, right man of the crew. He is type B. Favorite weapon to use are the scythe blades on his arm. The blades are connected to a type of glove that makes them spin. Sab's eyes traveled to the 2 behind Killer, all the while being scanned by the so-called captain. His eyes trailed up her exposed legs, then her torso, ending at her chest. with another glance taken at the mounds peeking through her fabric. He then looked at her face. Her nose was pointed, and her lashes were long. Her skin looked soft but tanned slightly. Strings of her wavy hair fell over one of her eyes. That is when he saw the scar that lays on it. It looked brutal, almost as brutal as his. It was a burn mark, a mark that will never heal. Interesting. Her eyes are two different colors too. Who are you? Mind taking off your mask? Sab asked as she turned her attention towards the captain. I rather keep mine on, he responded. His deep voice almost made Sab shudder. Almost. Her body turned to face the man, giving him a better view of her figure. She looked like an angel, even with the scar. Well then, my name is Sab. The blonde didn't bother sticking out her hand. Instead, she locked her arms under her boobs and gave the man a stare. An amused glint came from the man's shielded eyes. You must be Spades. Sab scrunched her brow before nodding. Further introductions will have to come later. I have a match, she said, gesturing to the stage. A hum came from the captain. You think you can beat me? Shanks looked at the new captain dumbfounded. Is he? No, no one is that stupid to challenge Sab. I must be hearing things. What do you say? Or is that outfit for your personal enjoyment? What? This newcomer is serious. The comment about her outfit made Sab lock her arms tighter. Fine then. Yes, up, start the match in 5. Ben, help the newcomer gear up so I can kick his ass. The captain's eyes glued onto the confident woman as she turned around and walked away. Keep your eyes at eye level, Killer whispered to his captain. All I'm doing is sizing up the competition. The captain muttered back. Are you comparing her ass to your girlfriend's? A hiss came from the captain. She isn't my girlfriend and she never will be. Shanks followed his sister into the changing room. He leaned against one of the lockers as she geared up. At least I don't have to face you, he said with a chortle. The blonde pulled at the larger gloves fitting over her normal ones. Yes, well, someone has to show the new captain who is in charge, she said with a minor scowl. His cockiness irks her. She will make sure to put him in his place. Her red-headed brother placed a helmet over her head and blonde locks. If you keep that outfit, everyone will be distracted. Sab rolled her eyes at her tease of a brother before walking out of the changing room. The stage was set for the match and the new captain was already outside. A narrow strip connected the stage to the stand. Sab and the new captain walked across it, beaming with determination to beat the other. Sab went to the left while Kid went to the right. Tension filled the air as the two competitors got ready, both with confidence glowing from them. Then, it started. Let the match begin. Luffy grinned at her crewmates, each doing something different. Robin was mapping out the next mission the sector was to go on, Luffy not included. Since Luffy controls her sector, she can choose to go if she wants to. Though, she trusts her crew enough to handle small missions on their own. The person who usually leads the missions when she isn't around is Nami. Nami, orange hair, 5'9", scary, normal human that Luffy recommended to be in the academy. She is the navigator of the Straw Hat crew and is amazing at her job. Nami is known to be scary when angry, which is all the time when it comes to this weird crew. But even though they annoy her, she still loves them like family. Nami's lives with her mother and sister in the Grand Line City. Her mother is a retired Marine, and her sister works at a family store. Robin, black hair, 6'2", type A, dark sense of humor. Her devil fruit power is to produce extra limbs anywhere she can see. It is great when the crew plays Twister, or when someone needs to be chalked on missions. Luffy thinks the Twister ability is cooler though. Also, Robin can make clones of herself using her ability. She is the archaeologist of the crew. She can read ancient writings called poneglyphs. She learned this technique from her hometown named Ohara, which is located outside of the Grand and Red Line. Her mother is the head archaeologist there, Nico Alvia. Poneglyphs, large stones with ancient writings engraved on it. Very few people can read the writings, one of them being Robin. A lot of people don't know what the writings can lead to. Some think it could be the origin of where these powers known as devil fruits came from. Others think it's a hoax, a myth, a wild goose chase. Luffy turned on her heels to look at Frankie and Usopp. Both were working on a new design for their sector. Some sectors get their own buildings in the academy. Even though it's called an academy, it is more of a very large campus with a school in the center. 4 academies are set up in the corners of the Red Line. Whitebeard and Roger are on the same side but different corners, while Big Mom and Kaido are on the other side. And of course, in the center is the city itself. The Red Line isn't the only city that houses power holders. There are many underground cities dotting the world. Snores caught the captain's attention. She looked at the couch and saw Zoro sleeping without a care. Shishishi. Zoro, the green-haired swordsman, jerked up from the loud voice. He didn't have to turn around to know it was his captain. You got back from your mission? Why didn't you call me? Zoro, green hair, 6'0", type B, Roronoa Zoro, also known as the Pirate Hunter. He is the right-hand man to the Straw Hat crew and Luffy's childhood friend. His bounty is 320 million, while Luffy's is 500 million. He has 2 goals in life. 1 is to be the greatest swordsman of all time. 2 is to make his bumbling captain king of the pirates. The brunette smiled at her right-hand man. Zoro always requests her to call him once she gets back from a mission. My phone died, sorry. Zoro let out a grunt when Luffy tackled him into a hug. She does this often, grabbing Zoro into her death trap hugs. The swordsman doesn't mind. Sometimes he even enjoys it. It's fine, why did you wake me? Zoro started to relax on the couch as Luffy shifted on top of him. Let's go on a mission together. She beamed. You came back from one a few hours ago. I know, but I want to go on one with you. She cheered. Zoro let out a sigh. Fine. We can pick one later. Luffy's grin threatened to split her face in half. Do you want to go to the training center with me? The office. Oh, we can get some meat. That's perfect. Zoro sighed at the brunette's energy. Luffy is always like this, but she is happier than ever. She was undercover for 2 weeks. That means 2 weeks of no Zoro. She missed her moss-headed best friend. Do we have to now? Zoro placed his hand on her head to ruffle her boyish hair. Luffy likes her hair short. It fits better with her personality. His hand pushed her down a little until her face squished against his chest. Zoro wore a dark green kimono with a belly warmer around his waist. His 3 swords were leaning against the couch he laid on, and his green bandana tied up his hair. Zoro, I can hear your heart beating. She giggled with a smile. A small snort came from Zoro in response. It sounds normal. Luffy blinked a few times. I never said it didn't. Is it supposed to be slower? The brunette felt Zoro tense a little before he snorted again. No, never mind. What do you want to do first? The grin Luffy was wearing before slapped back onto her face. Yeah, let's go. She bounced up and began to pull on her best friend. Zoro stumbled off the couch with a hiss and grabbed his swords. He tied them around his waist and put his green bandana around his lower face. Luffy's cheek puffed out from the look. What? Zoro asked, looking down at the smaller woman. Technically, Luffy isn't small. She is 5'10", but that is short if you consider the heights other people have. Her father, Gall D. Roger, is 9 feet tall, and her siblings are over 6. I don't like your face covered. I miss it. Don't hide it, stupid Zoro. Her slender hands pulled at the cloth until it was off his body. Luffy, I thought you wanted to eat somewhere in the red line. The woman shook her head. Not if you're covering your face. We can go to the office. Jinbe and Brook are there. Brook Ninone has the best afro. Taipa, he is the musician of the crew and also a good swordsman. His devil fruit revived him when he died a long time ago. Now he is a walking, talking skeleton. That he is able to walk into the Straw Hat office is because it is right above their red line building, meaning we can go into it undetected, using stairs. People can't walk into the building without having an appointment. And if they are family, they already know Brook. Oi, Luffy, don't drag me, I'm coming. Zoro hissed as the woman pulled at his arm. She turned her head and flashed a grin so bright it could make you blind. Then hurry up. Zoro, my arms crossed over my chest as my hips swayed with confidence. Lace pressed into my skin, causing an itch to linger. I pulled at my side for the 5th time since I got out of my car. I shouldn't have worn Anne's bra. They are way too tight on me. My clothes weren't done by morning because Luffy broke the washer, so I had to wear whatever I could find. A tight business skirt wrapped around my knees and a semi-comfortable button-up covered my torso. I'm on my way to work, walking out of the parking garage. My hair was tied in a neat bun with a few gold strings framing my face. Glasses perched on my pointed nose, even though I only need them for one eye. The burn mark that is usually over my eye is covered by makeup to not cause attention. I can see through it, but after a transplant, one of my eyes is black while the other is dark blue, but that is only with colored contacts. Black is my natural eye color, but since my other eye is white, the colored contact appears lighter. I don't like makeup. I only wear it to cover my scar. I don't need it anyways. My angelic face is enough of a distraction towards people. At least, that's what Shanks says. Shoes clicked against the pavement around me. As always, it was busy. Right now is lunch hour. Great. I'll have no place to eat. A buzzing sound came from my purse. I picked up my phone to answer. Hello, Sab speaking. My tongue slid past my dry lips as the person on the other line replied. You left your car, right? You mind picking a coffee up for me? My twin sister asked through the phone. My lips smacked together as my eyes trailed around the area. Do you see the time? I already ordered it. Pick it up at the Barady. It should be 2 cups of coffee and 6 to-go boxes. Okay. The phone hung up and returned to my purse. A hum left me as I traveled to the Barady. It is a local restaurant Sanji works at. Sanji Sixone, blonde. Type B, he is the cook on my sister's crew. He is called Blackleg in the pirate world. He is also a major ladies' man. He treats them like angels sent from above. But everyone besides women is lower class, especially Zoro. The 2 men bicker like children whenever they are near each other. Aching conjugated in my feet from all the walking I was doing, but it paid off in the end. A smile graced my face as the door to the store came in sight, though my smile didn't last long. Glass slammed against my face from someone opening the door suddenly. It caused my glasses to bump against my nose and almost break them. It stung, but it didn't stop me from shouting at whatever idiot did it. My hand launched at the person before I could open my eyes. What the hell are you doing? Don't touch me. I was gripping onto the man's forearm. When I opened my eyes, I saw glowing orbs flaring at me. The malice glint in the eyes made my jaw loosened. You slammed the door against my face and almost broke my glasses, I said in an emotionless tone. My mismatched eyes attached to his bright ones. His orbs were a fascinating rose gold. How the hell is that my problem? Didn't I tell you to let go of me? His shout made my grip tighten. Say sorry and I'll let it go, I growled. Like hell, maybe you should watch yourself better. My sharpness acted before my mind could process what was going on. Or you cannot be a moron and think before you act. A hand gripped onto mine, but it wasn't the man's, it was a green-haired woman. She had light freckles and a round head. Nothing about her features are important enough to take in. Do you know who he is? Don't talk to him like you are both on the same level, the woman near the man screeched. She squeezed my hand and tried to bend it back. But before she could, my instincts took over. Using the hand she was gripping, I clutched her wrist and twisted it. A small cry came from the woman, even though I was holding back. My knee plunged into her stomach to finish her off. The pain became too much, making her let go with a silent cry. I don't care who he is. Don't you dare talk to me like that. My hands clapped together to dust off the woman's filth. The man in front of me looked at me with an unknown expression. What? I hissed. My patient is already at its limit and I haven't even gone to work yet. Who is this guy anyways, and why is he so important? His red hair was shaped like a flame with smaller hairs falling on his forehead. His eyes were sharp with a scar going over one. The mark looked healed wrong, like my burn mark. The man only wore baggy pants with a baggy hoodie, not giving me a good assessment of his body. His skin was pale but looked rough. Nothing. Thanks for getting her away from me though, the man said in a smaller voice. I blinked a few times in confusion. I thought you'd be mad. The man only turned around and started to walk away. I was stunned until I realized that I came here for my coffee. On the way to my office, I thought about the hot-headed man. Who was that woman, and why was she so protective of him? Doesn't matter, I will never be seeing him again regardless. When I got to my office, I saw my brunette twin spinning in my chair. What's wrong? I asked. She looked like she hasn't slept in the past 24 hours, which is weird since her narcolepsy would have gotten to her by now. Coffee, she groaned in response. I placed the coffee down in front of her and took a seat on the couch in my office. When I crossed my legs over each other, a choking sound came from Anne. What did you do? Her finger shot out at my skirt. It had a rip cutting through it, ending at my upper thigh. Oh, well, I got into a fight at the coffee shop. My skirt must have torn when I kicked her. I told Anne the story about the man and about the woman. When I described to her what he looked like, she almost choked again. Why, you met Eustace, kid. Anne fell onto her face as she stumbled out of my office chair. I watched her circle around the room until she pulled a magazine from my desk, which I didn't place there, may I add. Her fingers moved at lightning speed, along with her eyes. Unlike me, Anne doesn't need glasses. She only struggles with staying on her feet without tripping every 2 seconds. But that happens when the woman is flustered. Paper lunched out at me as she held up the cover of the magazine. Look, with a nod. My eyes followed around the paper until I saw him and his crimson hair. Yeah, that's him, I said with a dull voice. Anne beamed. He is from the same modeling agency. There is a model agency that Anne stalks for a living. The agency is where Zoro and Sanji work. Both work there on occasion. They only do it to get more publicity for the Straw Hat Company. The reason why Anne stalks this place is because of a certain man that poses. Don't tell me you have pictures of him on your wall too, I said with a teasing grin. Anne snorted and shook her head. I am a loyal fan, not some hoe, she joked. All over Anne's room are pictures of this one model. She has been crushing on him since middle school when he first started. He is several years older than her. He is also friends with Shanks since our older brother poses for the agency from time to time. But again, it is only to boost up his business popularity. So, his name is Eustace Kid. Interesting. I can't believe you met him. You're so lucky. Anne slumped in her seat and frowned. Depressed lines formed over the woman as she entered into deep depression. With a sigh, I sat up and started patting Anne on the head. There, you'll get to meet him one day. Oh, did I tell you what happened yesterday? Anne picked up an interest. No. Shanks told me you fought against the new captain. Did you win? A triumphant smile peered from my angelic face. Damn right I did. It was close though. He seems pretty strong. He must have been tough if you look so proud about it. Did you see his face by any chance? I heard some rumors around the academy that no one besides his crewmates have. I shook my head. He was dead set on keeping it on. What could be under that mask? You want to know, don't you? My eyes trailed down to Anne, who was sprouting a smug look. It's weird for someone to catch your attention, Zab. My hand retracted from her head. What can I say? He is interesting. Anyways, any new cases come in? Anne cupped her face with a sigh. I haven't checked. You can ask the front desk. With a nod, I headed downstairs. Turns out, we did get a few cases. 4 in total. I walked back upstairs to Anne and explained each one to her. The last one caught her attention immediately. Do you say Ottoheim? Ottoheim, she is the queen of Fishman Island, also located underground. Fishman Island is a beautiful place entirely made out of water, but again, it is still a part of the Red Line. You can find its entrance near Whitebeard's academy, since he owns the territory. Ottoheim is a mermaid, but once dried, mermaids grow legs and turn into humans. The same can't be said for Fishman, however. On the Grand Line, Ottoheim is a famous fashion designer and is the owner of the agency Anne is fond of. Ottoheim is also good friends with Rouge and Roger. I looked back down at the file and scanned through the case. It's one of her models. Apparently one is being sued for abusing his ex-girlfriend. There was a sticky note attached to the report. I picked it up and read it out loud. Dear Sab and Anne, I'm sorry we haven't talked in a long time and I'm sorry we have to greet like this, but one of my models is being framed for turning down one of his fans. I know this case sounds silly, but it is developing all over social media. You two are the best detectives I know. I hope this isn't too much trouble. From, and Ottoheim. Of course we will help her. We are the best detectives. Anne rubbed her chin with a smirk. We aren't actual detectives, but we do act like it. Since our last name is Monkey D, we can have access to warrants and records easily. Our grandfather, Monkey D. Garp, is a war hero and our dad, Monkey D. Dragon, is a world-renowned detective. Him being a detective works well with his main job, being a revolutionary. The reason why our last name isn't Gall D is simple. Roger's last name is just as widespread as his first. Having Monkey D is safer and will prevent us from being targeted. My fingers tapped the sticky note back onto the file. I'll text her saying we can help. I will also ask when she would want us to come over to talk to the model. Anne squealed in delight. Do you think I will get to see him? That would be awesome. If you do, try not to be a total idiot. I sighed. The smile on my twin's face turned into a pout. Shut up, Sab. Equals 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 equals. Koala placed my top hat onto my head with a grin. Work went by quick. Now I am at the Revolutionary Center getting ready for our next mission. How tough will the mission be? Koala asked. Koala 5'3", brunette, commander of the Revolutionaries. Koala has been my best friend since my starting years at the academy. She was a former slave to the Celestial Dragons and is now the adopted daughter of Fisher Tiger. The two of us work together when there are very important undercover missions. I stretched my gloves over my nimble fingers. It shouldn't be that hard if Shanks can make it through without being detected. I sighed at the thought. Koala giggled at my already exhausted expression and gestured for me to follow her. Look at this. Her finger shot out to a few papers on her desk. My eyes scanned them, and my lips twitched into a smile. He's coming back soon. Correction, Top Hat. They will be coming back soon, she said with a snicker. The people Koala is talking about are called the Blanks, a group of guards sworn to protect one of the most important people in the world, Dr. Vegapunk. They left 3 months ago for a mission, but of course, no one knows what that mission was. Everything the group does is classified. The only ones that know are Garp, Sengoku, and the 5 elders. My father and his crew know who Vegapunk is, but they are sworn under oath not to tell anyone. Not that I would ask anyways, it takes away the fun. The 5 elders, these old men, are also an important part of our society. They control the military, but also Sengoku. No one knows how they earned their position, but their job is to keep peace to the world. So far, they haven't failed. Important decisions are made amongst 4 groups. 1. Sengoku and Garp. 2. The 5 elders and the pirates. The pirates are the king of the pirates and the 3 emperors, Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom. The last of the 4 groups would be Vegapunk. Have you found out anything about them? Koala has been stalking the group since she joined the academy. I have helped her by keeping an ear out. It would be a lie if I said I was not curious about the mad scientist. Koala's smirk grew. There are 7 or more blanks. I blinked at the info. How did you find that out? My secret sources. You better get back from your mission quickly. We might be able to see their walkthrough. The walkthrough it is as it sounds. On rare occasions, the mysterious group will walk through the red line to Sabayati. Of course, not all of them walk through, only 4 people including Vegapunk. When this happens, everyone moves to the side and makes way for the group. It is also dead silent. The last time I saw a walkthrough was when I was 10. It was amazing. Me and Koala swore we would unmask Vegapunk on that day. Anyways, you have a mission to get to, don't you? I nodded and bid my goodbyes to my best friend. Walking through the halls of the academy, I played and fixed my clothing, pulled up my boots, fixed my goggles on my top hat. nervous tics that occur when we go on an important mission. This mission will determine the place we are in the ranking. And told me how she saw the phoenix at Sabayati. He is also a rare figure to see. Not as rare as Vegapunk though. The man doesn't like to be seen in Sabayati, or anywhere for that matter. The man doesn't even come to the ceremonies. There are 2 types of ceremonies, awards and one where we talk about crime stats. All of them are mandatory, yet he never comes. The man irks Anne to no end. She feels he is too full of himself, which I agree. Very few things about that man are known to people. 1. He is the 1st Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. 2. He has a rare Loja-type devil fruit that lets him turn into a phoenix, thus the name, the Phoenix. 3. The man has deep blue eyes and a tattoo on his chest. I know, vague details. But that is how it works in this business. Well, if you're everyone but me and my siblings. Few people know our identities outside the academy, but everyone knows our personalities. Most of it is because of my hot-headed twin and my bumbling younger sister. And short temper has caused many fires, but she never cares to take Law's lectures to heart. Luffy doesn't. Listen, she has a very serious case of selective hearing. There are so many times she has almost blown a mission because of it. Not like Law and Shanks are any better. If you add Shanks' inability to think quickly and Law's terrible way of explaining situations, our whole team is one big error. But of course, that is only when we are separate. Together we are unstoppable. Where you going? My eyes trailed side to side in the empty hallways. I sighed when I realized the deep voice was talking to me. A mission. I turned on my heels to face the blonde man. My back settled against the wall and my arms crossed over my chest. What's with this smug look? I asked the blonde. Killer's grin grew. I like you. My brow flicked. What do you mean? You affected my captain. He never loses in that game. I struggled to suppress my smirk. Oh, tell him I can beat him again if he's not used to it. My cocky tone made a chuckle leave the blonde. Ever since I beat his captain, he has been more talkative, but not a lot. I can tell Killer was more of a quiet type. You think you can beat him twice? Interesting. My eyes followed the blonde as he started to walk the opposite direction. Was he trying to challenge me to another fight? Even though me and the right-hand man have been more talkative, I haven't seen the captain since. He doesn't seem like the type to avoid someone because of a loss. Is there another reason he is avoiding me? Should I care? Yes, because he is the captain of my sector. That is the reason. The only reason. Why am I acting like I'm talking to someone? With another sigh, I started to walk to Sengoku's office for the mission. A snort came from me as me and my siblings took a seat in the limo. My suit was suffocating me and my hair felt heavy from all the gel Sab put in it. I hate this. All of it. Why did I have to be the X-mark anyways? Law is so much of a better option. But of course, my hair drags me into another mess. My fingers pulled at my red strings, the locks that have cursed my life. If you keep making that face, you'll stick out like a sore thumb, Anne said with a hum. Luffy looked up from the pile of food she had already gathered in the limo. After an inhuman swallow, she spoke. Why you so down, Shanks? Being X-mark can't be that bad. Luffy looked at the printed pout on my face and squeezed her lips together to hold her laughter. It ended up failing with her clutching her stomach from the vibrations. My hands tugged at the blazer I wore. Is this necessary? The plan is simple. I have to go into a rich people party and pretend to fit in to gather information about the man hosting it. I have to because the daughter of the man hosting likes guys with red hair. This is going to suck. I just know it. On the ride to the manor, topics of conversation were thrown around. First, Luffy told us her plans to go on a mission with Zoro. Sab told everyone about the guy at the coffee shop and said he was from the modeling agency I go to. I have met the man, Eustace Kid. He seems decent, hot-headed though. I will have to teach him a thing or two on not to slam doors in my sister's face. I heard he was dating Bonnie. Law blurted. Jewelry Bonnie 5'8", pink hair, type as she is known as the glutton in the pirate world. She is a part of our academy, though she does not belong to any of my or my siblings' sectors. On the Grand Line, she owns a bakery by Luffy's business building. A well-known bakery at that. The reason why we know her pirate identity is because she is friends with Luffy. Sab peeked up. He is. I shook my head. They aren't exclusive, only one-night stands. Last time I checked he ended that a week ago. Why? I raised a brow. I don't know. I didn't interview him to your standards. Sab snorted from the comment. The ride took almost an hour. When we got there, the sky was blanketed in black. My siblings are to hide in the back of the mansion, away from security to not be seen. We have many transponder snails hooked on top of our ears to communicate. Since my hair covers my ears, I shouldn't have a problem. Wall gave me a nod before I walked into the massive manor. The walls were pure white, and the tile was rose gold. They really went for the I'm rich look. A snort came from me. By the doors were two men wearing all black. They looked like the help. Both bowed to me. They both started saying a bunch of unimportant crap. I hate nobility. They annoy me in every way, shape, or form. It's better for me not to listen. I should start coming up with a background for my character. After what seemed like an eternity, the help left me alone. I wandered around the halls. That is when the snail device connected. How's it going so far? Sab asked through the device. A hum of disappointment answered her question. I'm sorry. I don't mind, Sab. It is only a little stuffy. Sab's past with nobles is far worse than mine. I rather me go instead of her. A smile printed onto my face. I'll be okay, I assured. Sab exhaled. I know you're lying, but okay. My eyes wandered around the hallways when I heard footsteps approaching. The shadow over the figure grew lighter until closed-toed shoes came into sight. Following up her legs, I noticed how pale she was. The more the shadow retreated, the more nervous I got. She wore a strapless, long-sleeve, princess-style dress. The color of the dress complemented her green locks. The strands settled on her shoulders with a few loose strings tucked behind her ears. Her eyes were large and dark. They filled with wonder when she looked at me. Hello, are you lost? The woman's voice was soft and curious. Something about it made me lose the reason I was here. Well, until Law came onto the mic. Say yes, Shanks. Remember the mission. You got this. I nodded to Law's statement. I cleared my throat. Hi, I am the Lost. I could almost see Law slap his forehead from my messed up words. My voice was so high, my ears hurt from listening to it. But still, the woman in front of me smiled. Her smile made me curse myself for being so awkward. My name is Makino. The woman shot out her hand for me to take. Shanks, listen. That is the daughter of the man we need to monitor. Please don't mess this up. Anne and Law said through the snail. My eyes kept on her hand as if it was shining treasure. She noticed my stare. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being too forward? I frowned when she took her hand away. My eyes went back to hers. What is your name? Oh no, I didn't come up with one. Shit. My brain tried to fill in the blanks for the background of my character, but the information kept erasing. I can't think of anything. Not when her smile is shining right in my face. She looks so kind and pretty, and her voice doesn't sound like a royal. She even has a cute little accent. Shanks, pick a name. Any name. The closer we are to her, the closer we are to her father. Law pleaded through the phone. I could tell the man has already given up on the idea of this mission succeeding. But I didn't care. The only thing I care about is how cute the woman in front of me is. When I saw her head tilt to the side in confusion, I panicked. My end name well, I have one, of course. A nervous laugh escaped me as my hand scratched the back of my neck. Pick a name. Any name. Law shouted. This mission is important. I need to get a name fast. Think. What have I been doing recently? A show? Movie? Something? My name. It's Snoopy. I asked in the most awkward way possible. Damn it. Your name is what? You gotta be kidding me. My frame flinched from Law's loud voice bursting out of the small snail. Makino furrowed her brow, as in the cartoon dog. Law's voice came in again. Anything but the dog. Behind my brother's malevolent tone was laughter. Laughter coming from my three sisters. The dog is kind of cute though. Makino giggled in the most adorable way. Her sweet laugh threw me into a trance. Yep, like the dog, I said without any hesitation. She thinks I'm cute. Well, my name, which isn't my actual name but still. She said something was cute, and she giggled. She fucking giggled. I can die now and be happy. Anyways, why are you here? Do you not like formal parties? Her large eyes shimmered when they met mine. No, I don't. It turns out, Makino didn't like the party either. We started to chat while walking around the hallways. I learned a few things. 1. Law sent Sab to go to the party. She was already dressed for the occasion, plus he had a feeling I would fail. I love the confidence my brother has in my abilities. 2. Makino's father made this party to find her a spouse. I don't want one though, she muttered in a low tone. Her back pressed against the wall and her eyes trailed downwards. I have had one before, an arranged relationship. It didn't go so well. Makino gripped her forearm from the memory. It made me wonder what the woman's past was like, but I chose not to pry. My eyes trailed to the window behind her. The sky looks pretty tonight, I muttered. Makino looked at me, then the tinted window. How could you tell? You can't see much from the windows here. I saw them when I came inside. I've never seen them before. I looked back at Makino from her statement. You have never seen the stars before? I asked. She nodded. How is that even possible? Everyone has seen the stars. Unless, Makino, are you allowed to leave your house? The green-haired woman shook her head. It's not that big of a deal. What are you doing? The click of the window made me grin. I pulled the glass up and felt the wind flow through my crimson locks. I looked towards the princess who had been locked up in her castle. I want to be the first one to show you. I climbed out the window and let out my hand for her to follow. Why, you know we could fall off, she said while looking at my hand. My grin grew, and I will catch you. Her hand froze from my words, but soon enough she accepted my offer. I gripped her small hand and pulled her up. She held my hand tighter when she felt the wind push against her. Come on, let's go to the top. Makino responded with a weak nod. We climbed to the highest point of the manor. I helped her sit down. She grabbed onto my waist when another gust of wind hit us. Her hair went over her eyes, making it look unkempt and messy. Even so, she still looked beautiful. I'm so sorry, Snoopy, she said as she let go of me. Her large eyes shimmered brighter when they looked up at the sky. The stars reflected in her curious orbs. She looked like an amazed child. Do you like it, Makino? I took a seat down next to her. Instead of answering my question, she asked another. What is your name? I know it's not Snoopy. She turned to me and witnessed my nervous smile. My hand trailed through my hair to move it away from my eyes. With a sigh, I answered her question. Shanks, I am sorry I lied. I was only nervous. For some reason, I felt bad lying to the woman, even though I met her half an hour ago. Her almond-colored eyes seemed endless when staring at me, as if they were filled with wonder. I sucked in my lip from her stares. Can you stop looking at me like that? A whimsical giggle came from Makino, along with a heart-clenched smile. She is so kind. While I'm lying to her. Shanks. My eyes followed her lips as she said my name. They were soft and pinkened, thinner than mine. I wish we could hang out again. Her statement had me furrow a brow. Why can't we? I know I sounded desperate, but something about her draws me to her. I want to find out what. I want to know more things about her. Why can't she leave her house? Has she ever left her house? Makino patted her princess dress and tried to fix her hair. I must go to the party, my father. He went through all that trouble. Her eyes showed sorrow once they flicked to me. At that time, a large gust of wind blew at her frail frame. Her heels didn't help her balance. A yelp left her when her body almost fell off the roof. My hand grabbed her waist before she fell. Wind still pulled at her hair, whipping over her vision and making her hands clutch on my forearm. Please don't let go. Digging my shoes into the slippery roof, I pulled her up. Slender arms wrapped around my neck. Thank you. She mumbled against my skin, her frame shaking in my arms. It's fine, let's get down. Wait, let's stay like this. I felt her hands hold me tighter. I nodded and we stayed there in silence. After another half an hour, we went inside the mansion. A sigh left me as she continued to shiver. Here. My jacket fell over her small shoulders. Makino was stunned by the action. No, it's okay. Take it. I insisted. I bent over her to push a few buttons in the loops of the clothing. Once the jacket was fitted, I smiled at her. Makino looked shocked, beyond shocked. It made me wonder why she was so surprised by a simple kind action, but I ignored it. I tucked a few strands behind her pale ears. Something about me you should remember is I'm stubborn. Her lips parted slightly as her eyes widened further. But I told you I cannot see you again. I can't even leave the house, Shanks. Then I'll come here. Shock added to her expression. But Shanks, I only met you an hour ago. And how? My hands removed from her face. I'll find a way. She watched me leave, speechless. Pride swelled in me from the effect I had on her. She is so pretty and kind. Her accent is so cute. How could a noble have such a thing? I have never met one. Until now anyways. Flares. Deep. Hatred filled. Flares. That was all I got on the way home after the mission. I even got one from Luffy. And she doesn't know what's going on half the time. Yet, she stares. Anne and Sab too, glaring at me as if their lives depended on it. But the worst one, my brother's resting bitch face was turned to the max. At this point, his eyebrow looks as if it was about to twitch off his face. His hand cupped his chin and his eyes glued to mine. My lips parted to say something. When I tried, his glare intensified. I said sorry. What else do you want? I asked, throwing my hands up in defeat as I slumped into the seat of the limo. A better older brother. All my siblings said in unison, except Luffy. The youngest was busy devouring the food the limo provided. I let out a gasp from their lack of hesitation. I am a great older brother. I got distracted. That is all. Sab decided to interject before Law could, which I was thankful for. Shanks, I'm not that mad about the mission. I know Anne and Luffy would do the same. Hey, Anne hissed before smacking the back of Sab's head. Luffy only nodded in agreement to the blonde's statement and continued to eat. But, my sister held up a finger. It isn't like you to be distracted on a mission. You pay attention, whether it is out of excitement or to keep us in check. So, why weren't you now? Sab leaned closer to my face with a brow raised. I let out a nervous cough and scratched the back of my neck. Makino. But it was because she said she has never been outside before. It got me curious. Again, I am sorry. I bowed my head a little to my siblings. Sab backed off with a look of understanding. Anne let out a sigh and let the topic go, same as Luffy. That left. Of course. Come on, The mission went well, right? Collecting information. Sab was able to gather bits and pieces of the behind-the-scene events. They figured out about Makino's arranged marriage, but I already knew that. They are called the Vermilion family, a rich family and company that lives in the light of the Grand Line. They have been featured in many magazines and many commercials. But here is where things get interesting. Law pressed the watch on his arm. My eyes flicked to the holographic image that popped out of it. Penguin and Shachai's design, of course. Law swiped his fingers on the image to make a folder pop up. The Vermilion family tried out an arranged marriage 2 years ago, but stopped it after. Law's fingers swiped again, showing a green-haired woman with a pointed chin, pale skin, and large eyes. She was smiling and waving to people as she walked down the street. Stopped after she died. Layla Vermilion, Makino's mother. What's her cause of death? Luffy asked, taking an unhuman swallow of all her food. Poison. Law answered and continued to swipe. This time it showed an image of a lemon bread piece. Must have been where the poison was. So, it is an unsolved murder. I pressed, and shook her head. Me and Sab had this case a few years ago. The man was named Hyro. He was a part of a less wealthy organization, but still, the marriage was set. Then why kill the mother? Law answered, the mother didn't agree with the marriage. Since the mother didn't agree, the father didn't agree. I picked up. Makino looked in pain when she thought back to the memory. It must have been bad. Poor Makino. Who and why would someone do anything wrong to her? So why the research on the father? Luffy asked as she shoved a piece of meat down her throat. I have no clue. Sengoku hasn't told us that yet. Law answered with a shrug. He doesn't care as long as he gets paid, which he will be. We went back to Sengoku's office to give reports on the mission. Luckily, Law didn't mention my screw-up and left it out. The old man nodded. Luffy, you said you wanted to go on a mission with Zoro. That is correct, right? My little sister beamed with a nod. Well, I have one that popped up, 2-person. Unless you two have already found one? Luffy shook her head and grabbed the paper in the old man's hand. She flicked a brow. You need us to deliver a note. That's boring, she declared with the shoot of her tongue. Sengoku rubbed his temple while Sab took the liberty of reading the note. Wait, you want her, Luffy, my little sister, to visit a warlord? Have you gone insane? My head snapped in the old man's direction. A warlord? Warlords, you know how Dr. Vegapunk has a group of guards. That is what the warlords are to the Marines. But, instead of protecting, they are used as the Marines' ultimate weapon. The world government handpicks these people. So far there are 7. All of them are pirates. Some of them even have their own crews. World government, it's as it sounds. The government of the world. The world government is split into 3 sections. 1. The pirates, which is what Sengoku controls. 2. The Marines, which is what our grandpa, Garp, controls. 3. The nobility. The 5 elders control the nobility status around the entire world. This includes the celestial dragons. Not every pirate lives in the Red Line. There are other underground cities pirates take as their home. Fishman Island can be counted as its own, since it extends to the ocean. Yes, it is a dangerous mission. Don't undermine my decisions. The old man shouted at me. I shrugged at Sengoku. It is obvious he is going crazy, letting Luffy take on such an important mission. By the way, aren't you guys late? All my siblings peeked up from the statement with curious looks. The walk-through, it is happening in an hour, he said with a tinge of annoyance. All my siblings have heard Sengoku complain about Dr. Vegapunk, saying he is crazy, idiotic, self-centered, childish, a dick. The man throws so many insults at the genius. He almost beats my grandpa in that right. But all it does is make us curious about the type of guy he would be. Shit. Anne cursed. She didn't wait before running out the door with Sab and Luffy following behind. Law tilted his leopard-printed hat to look at me. I'll be going. Penguin and Shachai are already there. Are you going? I shook my head. I have something else to do. I wish I could though. Law nodded and walked out of the room. What do you have to do, Shanks? The old man asked me. A sigh escaped my lips. I need to go talk to Whitebeard. Whitebeard 21, type X, age 55, large mustache. The man is known to be the strongest man alive. Him and my father are eternal rivals. That is one of the reasons me and my siblings will never lose to his crew. Tim and my dad have known each other for a long time, along with Uncle Ray, my mother, Shaki, and Dragon. The man is one of the 4 emperors of the sea. 4 emperors include Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, and my father. My father is also king of the pirates, but for some reason, people refer to him as both. Whitebeard has other territories around the world, as well as Big Mom, Kaido, and our father. But all of their main ones are here at one of the corners of the Red Line. Traveling to other underground territories is simple. An underwater sea train connects them all. And why the hell are you going to that crazy bastard? Sengoku hissed through his teeth. Oh yeah, him and Sengoku are close as well. By close I mean he is on Sengoku's complaint list. That is what I am trying to figure out myself. I waved goodbye to the old man before wobbling out of his office. Today is going to be stressful, beyond stressful. Me and Anne rushed to Sabayati. Koala should have saved us a spot near the mission board. I can't believe me, and Anne almost forgot. Luffy went with her crew, so she is farther back than me and Anne will be. Suddenly, Anne stopped walking. I stopped with her and noticed she looked tensed. My eyes followed her line of sight until they ended at a certain group of pirates. The Whitebeard pirates. Anne's orbs flared when they were met with half-opened blue ones. The Phoenix. I'm not surprised he is here, even though the man makes it his mission to avoid the public. Everyone is interested in Dr. Vegapunk. Anne has a deep hatred towards the man for a few reasons. 1. For some reason, everyone compares her to the Phoenix. It might be because they are both fire users. 2. He seems full of himself, which is a major turn-off for Anne. I saw small flames start to lick at my sister's skin. Anne, he doesn't matter. Let's go. I snapped the band of the bikini top she was wearing and pulled at her arm. Showing skin is one of Anne's favorite things. She is proud of her body. Her chest doesn't compare to her hips though. The woman makes sure her cargo shorts are dangling off them to show off. A snort came from her before she tipped her cowboy hat. You're right, Anne said under her breath. We continued to walk until we reached Koala. Did you guys see who is here? The Whitebeard pirates. She beamed. Koala has always been excited when it comes to large figures in the pirate realm. Yeah, we saw. Anne grumbled. Koala sucked in her lips from the glare she received from me. She sighed. They aren't the only ones. My best friend's finger shot out to the people across from us. One wore a large scarf, covering their face till the bridge of their tan nose. Dark purple eyes narrowed at me from my stare. The hood covered over his hair, but even so, I can tell who he is. The man wore an open leather jacket, complemented by leather pants and boots. Charlotte Katakuri, Big Mom's golden child. Big Mom pink hair, type X, age 53, 28 and large nose. Her real name is Charlotte Linlin. Not every emperor likes to share their real name and face, but Big Mom and Kaido do. She is the only female emperor, and like all of them, she controls a lot of land. Her children and grandchildren are her crew. Arranged marriages is another way she expands. But she hasn't had one of those in a while. Her total number of children comes to 85, and her number of ex-husbands comes to 43. Yeah, the woman gets around. Charlotte Katakuri, age 36. 16'8", type X, scary. The man has a bounty of over 1 billion. It can almost compete with Shanks's. He is one of the 4 golden children. The man is a triplet. His counterparts are Smoothie and Cracker. He is not the eldest out of the Big Mom pirates, far from it. Even though they hide their faces, the Big Mom pirates don't hide their names. Pirates who do hide their names usually live on the Grand Line, the city above. But the Big Mom pirates live in their own territory, which is a closed-off island that only they can enter. The pirates still come to their academy, of course, but not many. Sengoku can always send his missions through mail. 4 golden children, they are the most famous pirates with large bounties. In order to qualify as a golden child, you have to be young and powerful, which is why there are only 4. Katakuri is the oldest out of the 4 golden children. Well, that we know of. Shanks is a few years younger than him, and Koala is pretty sure so is the Phoenix. The Phoenix also counts as a golden child from his large bounty. The last golden child is a part of Kaido's group, but no one has seen her in a long time. She is supposed to be his daughter, but no one believes it. Not like they can test it out anyways. She hasn't been seen in years. Next to Katakuri was the rest of the triplets, Smoothie and Cracker. Charlotte Cracker Tenon, age 36, type X, weird hair. His hair is shown, unlike Katakuri's. His hair is dark purple and shaped like birthday candles on a cake. He is a sweet commander. A sweet commander is like me and my siblings' ranking. There are only 3 of them. The rest of Big Mom's crew are lower ranking. The sweet commanders are the triplets. Charlotte Smoothie, age 36, 15'3", type X. Her hair is also shown. Her locks are light while her eyes are a dark blue. Her bounty is also large at 932 million berries. Not much is known about the woman's body type, besides the fact she has a rose tattoo on her thigh. I looked away. Interesting. Koala and Anne nodded. You don't see them often either, they said in unison. A tension stacked onto the air, flowing over everyone in the area. My eyes twitched from the sounds of gasps. They're here. Third pav. Boots clicked against the pavement, drawing everyone's attention to the masked man. There they were. Dr. Vegapunk in 5 of the blanks. One more than usual. Dr. Vegapunk's hands tucked in the pockets of his black baggy pants. His torso was covered by a skin-tight, sleeveless, maroon shirt. The shirt extended to his mid-neck, complementing the chain necklace he had. A large white cloak covered his back, ending at the rim of his boots. The boots had silver buckles on the side, and the long sleeves of his cloak dangled off his shoulders. The tip of his hood fell over the bridge of his nose, covering his eyes. Next to him were 5 of the blanks, all having numbers on the backs of their similar outfits. Number 3, 2, 7, 8, and 11. All of them had cloaks covering their real clothing and features. As always, Vegapunk's eyes wandered around the crowd of people that came to see him. He let out a small hum before knocking into something. It was a child. Everyone gasped from the contact the child made with one of the most important people in the world. Not only that, but the child was filthy, as if he had been rolling around in dirt. Smudged marks appeared on Dr. Vegapunk's fresh clothes. The sight made him grit his teeth. Sab and Aang clenched their fists from the look in the doctor's eyes. Once he came into sight, everyone began bowing. Damn it, will he hurt that kid? Why was he running through the middle anyways? Doesn't he have a mother? Metal shifting made the crowd flinch. None of them can see what was happening, but their minds pointed to the worst possibility. He is going to shoot the child. Like the celestial dragons, Dr. Vegapunk can do whatever he wishes, whenever he wishes. Shooting a child in public, during a ceremony, will get passed off as a minor incident and never be looked at again. Sab's eyes sharpened. I won't let that happen. I won't let someone share the same fate I had. Nobles, celestials, all of them can rot in hell. They bleed the same blood as us all, yet they treat the lower class as mere objects. It's sickening. What's up? All air from Sab's lungs vanished from her state of shock. Not just her, but everyone became stunned after hearing such a genuine tone. It was soft and welcoming, as a normal person would talk to a child. Unable to resist, Sab's head peeked up to look. There, in front of her, was the man many feared. A man known to have one of the most powerful positions in the world, crouching down and ruffling a small, dirty child's hair. Even with the mask over his face, you could tell he was smiling. This can't be real. He isn't angry. He isn't retaliating for some absurd reason his mind concocted only to release his own desires. No way, he cannot be a noble if so. Once again, theories and rumors scatter the place like wildfire in the pirate world. One of those rumors being that Dr. Vegapunk is a very, very rich man. But that is to be expected when you hold the world's knowledge in your hands. Dr. Vegapunk is the man who has created, researched, and tested devil fruits. Some say his brain is 100 years ahead of time itself. No one can understand how that is possible. But then again, another name for him is the creator of all worlds. Someone like that on their own would make any person piss themselves. But if you want a true horror story, add on the fact the man is close to the king of wealth, fame, and power, Gul D. Roger. With the conqueror of knowledge and the king of everything else working together, nothing can stop them, which the government knows. That is why they try their hardest to keep Dr. Vegapunk happy, even if things get carried away. More footsteps caused everyone to turn their heads. Mortified expressions covered the crowd when they saw who the child was running from, or what the child was running from. Dressed in all white, gold and money dripping out of their auras. Along with spoiled personalities was 3 celestial dragons. One has light purple hair that curled at the ends, dark freckles, a small gap in her front teeth, and a round head. Another had black hair, small eyes, a round nose, and short lashes. The last was the only male. He was chubby with a double chin. A snot bubble dripped out of his nose and his expression made him look dumbfounded. Sab was terrified by the people walking toward her, so much so, she couldn't move. Old memories flooded back to her, making her petrified. Dr. Vegapunk kept his eyes on the small child. Even as the boy started to shake from the footsteps, he must have been a slave then. Glancing up and down, he determined his theory was correct. You there, how dare you block our path? You have no right. Now give us back our toy. Don't you know who we are? The purple-haired woman shouted through the giant bubble helmet. Celestials don't have a need to wear masks. They only come to Sabayati for their sick and twisted enjoyment. Some say that in the dark corners of the Red Line are human shops, ran by the Celestials. Silence filled the air. Dr. Vegapunk seemed frozen, so were his guards. One of the Celestials walked forward to take the child back. He was a runaway slave, and like all runaway slaves, he will be punished. Normally, when someone is a slave, they have explosive collars and handcuffs. But this child doesn't. Was he bought recently? Sab mumbled under her breath. Her voice caused the man to stop in front of her. She was the only one standing up. But she didn't notice until the man stopped. Sab towered over him. It made the man grit his teeth. His eyes went around her whole frame, mainly her chest and hips. His eyes stopped wandering when he saw the scar going over her entire left eye. What a putrid face. How dare you look down on me? The click of metal made everyone gasp. Next thing Sab knows is that there is a gun being aimed at her. Anne was right next to her sister, fuming at the sight in front of her. But before she could spark up, something heavy added to her wrists. They were handcuffs. Look, brother, this one seems pretty, one of the sisters yelled. Anne's throat went dry from the handcuffs on her wrists. Even though she hasn't tried to move, she already feels strained. Luffy and Law watched the scene with flaring eyes. Both were ready to jump in, even though they could be put to death. If someone touches a dragon, or even looks at them wrong, they can be put to death. That, or they get given a life sentence in the world's most notorious prison. Impel down. How do you know, sister? You haven't taken off her mask yet. The sentence made Anne's eyes go wide. A hand touched her skin. She tried to flare up, but the handcuffs were made of sea prism stone. Water makes devil fruit users weak. Sea prism stone does the same. The freckled brunette can't activate her devil fruit. nor can she move. She was stuck, paralyzed in front of the untouchables. When fingers started to pull at her mask, Law and Luffy planted their feet to lunge forward. But a gust of wind made clouds of dust conjugate around the scene. When the dust settled, everyone felt lightheaded from the horror on Sab and Anne's faces. Not only were they in horror, but so were the Celestials. 2 daggers got placed inches away from the male Celestial's neck. One of the blades had pressed into the flesh. It was number 3. The other blade, carried by number 2, had flicked upwards, ready to behead the man if needed. The Celestial near Anne was trembling from the weapon centimeters away from her eye. The blade of the knife, held by number 7, pushed the sharp tip forwards, making it almost penetrate the tissue. Anne's head cuffs were shattered. Metal flew in front of her face as if the air itself cut it. Shaking, she looked in the direction of Dr. Vegapunk. Next to him was 11. The blanks had a sword peering from his side, pressing back into its hold. Did he break them? That was so fast. Normally, blanks use their custom daggers for fights, and thinks it's to make sure no hints are given out about who the blanks are. Blanks, lower your weapons, Dr. Vegapunk commanded. The only one that didn't attack was number 8. The blanks had his arms over his chest and his eyes narrowed on the Celestial in front of Sab. Without a second thought, the weapons were back to being concealed. They started to walk back to Dr. Vegapunk, which brought the Celestials back to life. The male compressed his teeth. He tried to reach out to grab one of the blanks, but before he could, an enormous amount of pain consumed him. Blood oozed out in front of everyone. Many screamed while others struggled to take in the sight. A celestial dragon's arm got cut clean off within an instant. Dr. Vegapunk whipped the blood off his dagger with a growl. Scum like you isn't allowed to touch my subordinates. He seethed. Some of the blood landed on Anne and Sab, but they weren't fixed on that. A man known to be untouchable, and another known to be a conqueror have clashed, and the conqueror won. The dagger clicked back into Dr. Vegapunk's waist. Let's go, he mumbled. The blanks nodded, but before they started to walk away, the genius looked towards the child. The former slave was stunned and had tears peering from his large orbs. A hand pulled him up. You can come with me, he muttered before placing the child on his chest. The kid was so surprised, all he could do was give a weak nod to the powerful man. The group continued to walk until they got inside the Sabayati bar. When they got in there, all of them let out a sigh. I told you we shouldn't have done that. Number 2 snorted. Number 3 nodded in agreement while 7 and 8 began to laugh. It's fun to see Vegapunk mad. Number 7 chirped with a challenging look. The doctor chuckled. Talk about a sight. The child the man was holding could only watch the genius laugh in wonder. Didn't you guys put on a show? All eyes trailed to the short-haired woman at the bar. She was cupping her face with a cigarette pressed between her filled lips. A smirk appeared and before she knew it, Dr. Vegapunk was laughing harder. Damn right. He took a seat on one of the stools by the bar. He caught the glass shakis slid to him and chugged the liquid inside under his mask. With a grunt he continued, Do you feel it, Shaki? The woman gave a hum as a reply, making Dr. Vegapunk continued. It is time for a new era, one crazier and scarier than the last. He slammed his drink down with a chortle. It's time for a new king, and new people for him to follow. Hell, I may not be as old as you guys, but even my time will be coming to a close. Enthusiasm leaked out of every word. The grip on his glass became tighter as more liquid poured in. Laughs erupted from the man from the thought. Something crazier than the last. Is that even possible? Number 11 asked before taking a seat beside Dr. Vegapunk. The genius slid his glass to the guard. That isn't the question though, my friend. The genius hummed. Shaki watched the two with a smile. Then tell me, Vega, what sets the king from the rest? You have put so much faith into an era that hasn't begun. Of course it has begun. I can already see the spirits pulsing through the younger generation. I can't wait to see the games this year. The doctor's claim made Shaki raise a brow. Don't tell me you are watching it this year. You never do. Ice cubes clicked in the glass cup as the genius swirled them around. All of his guards were sprouting grins from the statement. It's not every year the Galdees participate. I want to see what happens. And how do you know they will? Well, that is easy to answer, Shaki. I am never wrong. 0 equals 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 0. Shanks Pav. Eyes followed my boots as they tapped against the raw tile of the Whitebeard manor. The hallways were cold and would make any normal man fall to their knees. The tension weighed heavily on everyone's shoulders. The subdivisions of the Whitebeard pirates and my crew members. Only a few of my crew were with me. Ben, Yasop, and Lucky. We stopped at large steel doors at the end of the hallway. This is where the dominating aura was resonating. Much to my surprise, the large entry opened on its own. Air caught in my hood from the sudden movement. I gripped onto the clothing tightly to hide my crimson locks. When the doors stopped moving, me and my crew walked into the room. A large man stood in front of us, puffing out his chest as he sat in his cushioned throne. No windows let light in the room. All there was is the shadow of the large man reflecting on the red carpet. A grumble from the large man made a gust of wind whip around the room. I see you came, brat. Even with the wind pushing my frame and flowing through my locks, I kept my eyes on the man. I did, old man. Are you ready to get down to business? A loud rowdy chuckle left the large figure, calling the shots. Don't you think you're too young for that? Hey, red-haired. The large man picked up a plain white bottle and chugged it. From the odor running in the air, I could tell it was sick. I would offer you some, but Sengoku told me you aren't allowed to drink. Durarara. I pursed my lips from the comment. Stupid Sengoku, gossiping about us as if you were a housewife. Some say you are a JR Emperor. Out of all the golden children, you are the only one who hasn't denied becoming one. Isn't that right? My legs tucked into my lap as I tugged on my mask. Yes, I haven't decided yet. I am a little more than a year away from that decision. I rather push it aside. The giant man put down his drink and scanned me, telling me your age HM. Aren't you cocky? One of my men could try to kill you, even with that small piece of information. This time, I chuckled. My father has told me all about you and his relationship. I have no doubt you know my real identity, along with my siblings. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed from my claim. My father has only told me the stories between him and his old friend. My siblings don't know. Well, Law might. He is perceptive and thinks 200 steps ahead. I see. Yet you still wear a mask. I motioned my head. I don't think your subordinates know, and I'm sure my father knows your children as well. Same goes for Rayleigh, Shaki, my mom, and Dragon. People like Sengoku, Garp, and the 5 elders know everyone who is a pirate. But among the emperors, not all are close. Big Mom and Kaido have an unspoken alliance, as well as my dad and Whitebeard. Whitebeard settled his drink down. You are forgetting about another person, he said plainly. My brow raised from the statement, but my curiosity was never fed. On to business, the man started. With a nod I spoke, I accept, but I do recommend someone to watch from the shadows instead. Who? Are they trustworthy? Once again, I nodded. They are close with my little brother. The old man rubbed his chin. That would mean more people would get involved. His sharp eyes scanned my body, contemplating on whether he should trust me. In the end, the old man grew a cheeky grin. Why not? Make sure this doesn't get to people who aren't needed or I will send my first commander after you. I didn't take the threat lightly. If I were to fight one of the golden children, an island could get destroyed. That reminds me, old man, have you heard of the incident 10 years ago? I felt my crewmates stiffen from the topic. Some say it is a legend, a myth people tell their children to regale them. But I doubt that is the case. Something about it feels real. Are you talking about the Paramount War and the genocide that happened before that? My eyes lit up. This is one of the few things I am interested in. One of the few things in history that caught my immediate attention. It happened 10 years ago, the Celestial Genocide. A group of people started slaughtering the nobles and the dragons. It made waves of chaos ripple throughout the world. Soon after that, a war. People say it was a war, yet there are no witnesses. All we know is that a cluster of islands got destroyed. Even knowing that much is a feat on its own. No one can talk about it. It is a black stain on society. Yes, I do. I even know who was in it. Why are you asking? Whitebeard's grin grew from my obvious interest on the topic. But I held back. I can't fangirl in front of an emperor. That is so uncool. Nothing, just wondering. Pushing off my legs, I stood up and nodded for my crew to walk out. I'll see you later, old man. Whitebeard chuckled. Same to you, brat. My eyes sparkled in wonder from the tall building in front of me. My balled-up hands pressed against my cheeks as I struggled not to squeal in excitement. Sab looked at me with pursed lips. Try not to pass out. We have a case here, remember. I gave my sister a vigorous nod before taking a deep breath. I'm okay. I am only going into the modeling agency of the man I have been crushing on since I hit puberty. No big deal. Sab rolled her eyes. How are you, my twin? Maybe the doctor switched you out with my real one at birth. It could have been an evil plot twist or something. She shrugged with a drawn-out sigh. Hey, Sab, it is important to me. Don't be mean. My twin rubbed her temple from my wine and pressed the buzzer on the door to contact the front desk. I pulled at the light blouse I was wearing and shifted my dark pants. My hair was down as always. It's too short to put up. Sab wore an identical outfit to mine, except her hair was in a neat bun. She looked like a classy businesswoman, especially with her glasses. My twin sister turned to face me. Why are you staring? She blurted, pushing her glasses higher on her nose. My shoulders slumped. Why are you so much prettier than me? As a response, my twin's hand slapped the back of my head. Don't doubt yourself. You know you are pretty. Sab hates when I doubt myself. It only happens when I am nervous. Sab sighed and started to pull at my freckled cheek. You are very pretty. Freckles and all. I laughed at her comment before grabbing my cheek back. The buzzer rang, unlocking the door. Me and my sister walked in and checked into the front desk. Once they signed us in, a man appeared behind us. "You guys are working for my brother's case?" "Correct." I turned to the voice. "Yes, and you are?" It was a tall man, about 6'12". Long hair, sharp eyes. "Shit, it's Izo. Izo Newgate, age 35, dark hair, 6'12", the brother to my crush. Izo is a very famous fashion designer that works in the Newgate family. He also works with Autoheim for collaboration projects. When they collaborate, they are usually for charity events. Newgate family, a famous and wealthy family that work for the Newgate company. The head of the Newgate family would be my crush. Under him are his siblings. The siblings are all adopted, making a total of 16, not including their subdivision workers. My eyes shined when I realized he is prettier in person. That must defy logic. Izo had dark, narrow eyes, silky black hair, and painted lips. His skin was creamy and well taken care of. His structure was slender except for his muscular chest peering through his kimono. His locks were laying on his shoulders freely and his hands were covered with gloves. The gloves exposed his pinky and thumb, while ending at his wrist. A red sash wrapped around his waist. It had black dots patterning across it. A ring clenched around his finger. It was his wedding ring that no doubt cost a fortune. "My name is Izo Newgate. You must be the lawyer Autoheim hired." The Monkey D twins. Izo put out his hand for me to shake. I stared at the limb as if it were treasure. "I don't bite, I swear." He chuckled when he saw my hesitance. "I don't know about that, dear. You have bitten our brother before." My eyes twitched from the sound before they trailed to the woman behind Izo. Thatch Newgate, age 34. Brown hair, 6 feet, Izo's wife. She is the only girl out of the 16 siblings. Her and Izo got married 6 years ago and have been happily married since. Thatch is originally a sibling of the family, but Izo grew a different connection with her once he got adopted. The woman works as a model like my crush, but mostly spends her time at the Newgate company. Thatch has honey brown hair braided down her shoulder, large and curious eyes that compete against Luffy's, and a slim figure. Her arms were more muscular than your average girl. Like me and my sisters, her chin was pointed, and her dimples showed with every grin she made. She wore a puffy white shirt, black shorts with a golden button on the rim, and closed-toed shoes. A few loose strings of her locks framed her face, and her lashes were longer on the top than bottom. Izo turned to his wife. "I haven't bitten anyone, Thatch. Don't scare our guests." Thatch giggled and fell into her husband's arms. Izo caught her with pursed lips. They both are the complete opposite of each other. That much is obvious. While Izo is more strict and defined, Thatch is more cheery and colorful. That is what makes them a great team. While I am a stalker. Sab nudged my back from my stares. "You need to calm down. This is a case for Autoheim, remember?" I nodded and straightened up my back. "My name is Anne, and this is my twin sister Sab." Both of us shook hands with the married couple. We walked to the elevator, talking about the case we came here for. "My brother is being sued for abusing his ex-girlfriend." Thatch started with an eye roll. Sab nodded for them to continue. "They dated for a week. Might have been less, to be honest. Our brother is not into long-term relationships. He tried breaking it off with her, but she refused and threatened him." The elevator doors dinged, bringing us to the light gray hallway of the top floor. "Tell me, what is the girl's name?" "Khalifa," Izo answered once he opened the door. Both of us groaned from the familiar name. Me and my sister took a seat on the plain orange couch. "This is Autoheim's break room. We have been here many times." Izo and Thatch took a seat across from us. "You have heard of her?" I nodded. "She does this all the time. Suing someone for abuse and things like that. Her favorite charge is harassment." I rolled my eyes at the countless times I have had to talk to the woman, and all the times I had to find her. Khalifa is a part of the underground city, though is not a pirate. Khalifa Sixone, age 27, golden hair. She is the assistant for the mayor of the island known as Water 7. But that is only her undercover persona. She is an assassin, but not like me and my sisters. She works for a group called the CP9, who work under the Great Elders. Water 7, a famous island by this one. But this island is special. It is a large island made like a fountain in the ocean. This miracle was made by the workers on the island, who are known to be the best of the best. They can make anything from ships to houses. A sea train connects that water island to other cities and lands. The mayor of this breathtaking place is Iceberg. Iceberg 4066 has a mouse as a pet. Iceberg is the brother of Frankie and the son of Tom. Tom is a fisherman that lived on Water 7 when it was only a small and tiny island. The island was inhabited until Iceberg and Frankie shipwrecked on it. That is when they met Tom, who took them in and taught them how to do everything with gusto. Iceberg is now the mayor who knows about the pirate life because of Tom. He works for both sides of the world in terms of engineering. He also knows some of his workers are from CP9. The workers have a deal with Iceberg. They get to keep tabs on the outside world. In exchange, they help his city prosper. Tom 6098, talented, and does everything with gusto. The mentor is a crew member of my father's crew. I have met the man many times. He is truly a proud man. He lives on Fishman Island, which Iceberg and Frankie visit often. Frankie 36, 17, he is very super. He was one of Tom's mentors and is now a crew member of the Straw Hat Pirates. He took a bit of convincing, but my sister got him to join by stealing the man's underwear. It was quite a show. He is a cyborg because of an incident when he was a child. Oh, then will it be easier for you to find her? Izo poured tea into the small cups he placed down. Thatch sat in his lap and continued to grin at us. Yes, but I would like to talk to other people in this company that might have had contact with her. Is that all right? Izo and Thatch nodded. There are a few people downstairs I can show you to, Thatch offered. My twin sister got up and followed Thatch to the room. That left me with Izo. I have calmed down from the small tinge of familiarity I have with the man. Do you know the whole story? Which one of your brothers was it? A couple of Newgates work with Ottoheim. Izo smiled. He should be here any minute. As if on cue, the doorknob to the wooden door turned. I ignored the sound and went over a mental checklist. When is the last time your brother saw her? He tried contacting her yesterday, but she blocked him. They talked face to face 3 days ago. Izo answered. Do you know her address by any chance? Even though Califa works at Water 7, she comes to visit here often for job assignments. She must have a house here as well. Yes, I do. Yoi. I questioned before turning to the man who said it. There he was, my crush since middle school, Marco Newgate. Marco Newgate 36, 68, blonde, my long-term crush. The man is the head of the Newgate family and has had a place in my heart since I was in middle school. He started modeling when he was in college and started a business as soon as he finished college. Also, I have 10 pictures of him in my room, and in counting. The tall blonde had tanned skin, slight stubble on his chin, a muscular structure, and had weird styled hair, almost like a pineapple in my opinion. He has high-arched brows, semi-muscular arms, and dark eyes. He wore a light blue button-up with dark pants. The man usually wears his contacts, but today he is wearing his glasses. Hello, my name is Marco Newgate. Joy. Sorry for my speech, it is a habit. The man's smile made my knees weak. I thanked God I was not standing. His golden locks were slightly damped and his eyes held bags. You rushed here and didn't sleep, I muttered under my breath. The blonde chuckled at my out-loud thought process. Well, if you are that great at reading people, this case shouldn't take long, yoy. His laugh made my face heat up. His speech impediment has already become another attractive feature about him. Thank you. My name is Anne. I cursed myself for stuttering. I felt like I was back in middle school again, except without the pain in the ass braces. It is nice to meet you, Anne. I watched his lips move as they said my name. My heart rate increased, as well as the heat in my face. Yo, you too, I answered in a minor squeal. Somehow, I made it through for about 15 minutes of questions. Izo asked them though. For some reason, Marco only watched me speak, as if fixated on it. Maybe he was analyzing my skills as a lawyer. The ring of my phone cut off my next question. Ring, ring, ring. I was currently writing something down. Instead of struggling to multitask, I put the phone on speaker. This is Anne, you're on speaker. I answered. Hey baby Annie. And just like that, I regretted answering the phone. I blushed from the nickname. Yes, Shachai, I am with a client. I added the client part so Shachai knew not to talk about the academy. Oh, I wanted to ask you if you were free. Why? Well, one of my solved cases is being reopened. Shachai explained. Tim and Penguin are detectives, which means on occasion we work together. Which one? Shachai and Penguin's cases are never reopened. The two love to solve puzzles, and when they do, they are never wrong. It is kind of their thing. The case about the suicide that happened a week ago. A heaviness entered the atmosphere from the statement, but that is to be expected. The tension didn't bother me. Okay, did the person come back to life or something? No, the man claims his wife would never kill herself. He is telling me that it is a murder. The annoyed tone Shachai leaked made me grow a small smile. I started to write down the details of the case with Izo and Marco still in the room. The case was not classified, so it was no problem. Both watched in amazement as I worked out the puzzle in front of them. As mentioned before, me and Sab are not your average lawyers. We can also be detectives if needed. This goes for my brothers and sister too. We all have skills in detective work. My teeth pressed into my nail. It seems like a clear suicide to me. Jumped off the apartment building. I uttered. Shachai sighed. That is what I told him. But he doesn't listen. He keeps telling me it has to be a murder. I called you because he wanted the law perspective. Chuckles escaped my lips from the comment. The fact that Shachai, a man who can manipulate gravity and design superhuman tech for superhumans, is having trouble with a single case is amusing. You are the law, Shachai. Yes, I have told him that many times. But apparently my degree means nothing. I can feel the pout forming on my friend's lips. Okay, fine. I'll be there soon enough. After a few more words were exchanged, I hung up the phone and faced Izo and Marco. The two looked at me with stunned expressions, especially Marco. The look in his eyes made me bite my lip. Please tell me he doesn't think I'm a freak now. What? I asked in another pig-like squeal. Izo snapped out of it first. Nothing, it's just. He trailed off. His tone made me nervous, as well as his scanning eyes. We picked a great lawyer. And a detective too. Ottoheim was right about picking you for the case. A relieved sigh left my lips from the man's smile. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I agree, Joy. Marco's voice made my frame freeze. A swell of pride filled my stomach. Thank you, I beamed, showing a small percentage of my overwhelming excitement. Being complimented by the Newgates is a dream come true for me. 0 equals 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 0. Sabpov. I gave a few soft knocks on the door before opening it. When I did, I saw someone I didn't expect to see. Why the hell are you here? The man with crimson locks asked me. His fingers dug into the towel he was using to dry his hair. For the first time, I got a good look at his body. He was wearing tight shorts with a robe over his shoulders. The ties of the robe landed on his lap and his feet were covered by slippers. Trying not to stare, my eyes lowered to his chest. His skin was paler going down his body, scars engraved on his firm muscles. Almost like the one over my eyes, though my eye is covered by makeup. With the flick of my mismatched orbs, I looked back up at his face. Another detail caught my eyes. A red paint glossed over his lips. It looked good on him, almost intriguing in a way. Answer the question, Blondie. The redhead snapped through his teeth. I ignored his rude tone and walked into the room. Pushing up my glasses, I began to speak. Are you friends with Marco Newgate? A snort came from him, you could say that. Is this about Calfo or whatever? Wow, he is just as observant as Luffy. I wonder if he works here full-time. Could he be partners with Izo in some way? Sab, focus. My finger pressed on my glasses again. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? I was expecting another snort, but instead I was. Yes, now leave. Rejected. Hey, say no. Excuse me, what? I must have been distracted. Why would he say no? It is simple questioning to help his friend. I said go the fuck away. Did you hear me that time? He said in a growl, taking the towel off his hair. Wet strings of red smudged against his pale cheek. One even got caught in the paint of his lips. With the flick of his finger, he let out another growl as a warning. Did you not hear me or something? He asked me, his anger adding up every second I stood in his presence. I closed my eyes and let out a deep breath. Have you ever met Khalifa? I pulled the pen I held behind my ear and tapped it on my clipboard. The click of the pen made the redhead snap again. What is wrong with you? Are you some sort of stalker? I have enough of those. Go the fuck away. He stood up with his shouts, but I ignored it. So I take that as a yes then. That is great. You will be testifying if this goes to court. I made a few quick notes, not caring about the footsteps coming towards me, until a hand grabbed the top of my clipboard. Crack. My eyes widened at my now broken clipboard, and my notes. They were crumbled under his large hand. A tinge of amusement came from the man when he saw my slightly parted lips and wide eyes. A finger pressed on my glasses, making them bump the bridge of my nose and a sting linger. I'll pass 4 eyes. My shock withered away from the clear enjoyment the redhead was getting. He backed away and started to walk out of the room. With a huff, I followed him. You will be testifying, I said in a semi-calm manner. Yelling or shouting would mean I am affected by this man, which obviously isn't true. The redhead dug his hands into the pockets of his robe and ignored me. I walked faster to catch up with the man. When he was about to grab the knob of a door, my hand gripped his wrist. I pressed my back against the door and made my body block his way. Answer my questions, I said, a little out of breath. My chest rose and fell and some strings of my hair were let loose. Kid looked up and down at my body, from my thin heels to my mismatched eyes. His hand twisted the knob of the door, making me stumble from the lack of support and fall onto my butt. More of my hair came out and a sting swelled in my butt. Damn him, I'm never that careless. Excuse me, oh hey. I turned my head back when I saw that Kid had changed out of his clothes. Doesn't he care that I am here? What is wrong with him? You should be more decent. I lectured with my head turned to the side. Metal clicked open. If you don't like it, then go the fuck away, he hissed before slamming his locker. I heard the ruffle of clothing and let out a relieved sigh. I turned back around to see the man wearing a black shirt with blue jeans. His lips were still painted and a jacket laid on his shoulders. Why are you still here, Four Eyes? Don't you have a life? job, boyfriend, friends. The man tugged at his maroon jacket and tied his boots. I huffed. I have all of those things. I'm trying to do one of those things now. Well, all of that but a boyfriend, but I will not admit that. Sorry, Four Eyes, but I don't want to be your friend, Kid said before popping open a water bottle. He chugged the liquid, not caring about the small droplets escaping his painted lips. They drizzled down his neck until he stopped. I have plenty of friends. Why would I want you to be one of them? I said with the minor puff of my cheek. Never has someone made me act this childish. Being annoying must be this man's devil fruit. How? Maybe he is a devil fruit user. The annoying, repulsive fruit. Wow, how fitting. Stop daydreaming about me and leave already. The redhead waved off. He threw his bag over his shoulder with a grunt and started to leave the room. Aye, what? Excuse me. You have been excused. He cut me off with a sarcastic tone. My hand grabbed his arm again to stop him. You haven't, Eustace Kid. Oh, you even know my name. What a loyal fan you are. My hand gripped tighter from the statement. Taking another deep breath, I went into my happy place. Thank you for the compliment. I will make sure to write you down on the list for testifying. Now, I can get your contact info from Ottoheim. Expect a call soon. Letting go of his wrist, a satisfied smile pressed onto my lips. Kid's expression held pure shock, either from my calm tone or from the fact my tight grip rivaled his. Either way, I walked away with pride swelling up inside me, because this makes my case easier. Of course, no other reason. I adjusted the mask over the lower half of my face and pushed my arms into my purple jacket. The clothing stretched with my movements before clinging to my body. I refuse, Izo declared with a snort. The pretty man grabbed the paper he slammed onto the desk. My blue orbs flickered down at the paper before smiling. You can't get out of this, Yoi. My little brother's eyes sharpened onto mine. He glared at me with intensity until his biggest weakness walked into the room. Hey Marco, Thatch waved to me, bouncing with her pigtails and grin. Her locks curled at the ends and laid on her covered shoulders. She had on a white button-up with puffy shorts. Her firm arms wrapped around my little brother's neck with a hum. Why did you leave me this morning, Izzy? Even though the two have been together for years, I can never get used to someone calling Izo Izzy. Thatch is the only one allowed to call him that. Vista tried once. It didn't end well. Izo picked up his wife and swung her around. Sorry, Thatch. Marco called to inform us on our mission. I didn't want to wake you. My little brother's gloved hand ruffled Thatch's honey-colored hair. Their loving interaction made me smile, but that smile held an ounce of pain. The pain of knowing I will never find something so precious. I had a relationship like that, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. That is what happened all those years ago. It came to an end. But I doubt Izo and Thatch will share such a fate. Izo pecked Thatch's forehead before glaring at me again. There is no way, he murmured. Thatch picked up her head from Izo's sudden change and looked at the paper. Before Izo would testify, she picked up the paper and read it in her head. She grinned when she finished reading. What's so bad about it, Izzy? You always say how fabulous you are. This is perfect. The job was a simple one. A princess can't go to a gathering because she is sick. One of us will have to fill in her place. The gathering isn't among anyone she has met before. It is a tradition with her kingdom, but since she is sick she cannot attend. She refuses not to make an appearance, but her father said she is too weak. So, one of us must dress up like the princess and perform the ritual. Since only one of us has the body of a princess, that person has to be it. I am too bulky, as Izo likes to say, so I cannot. Thatch is the second most muscular one of the group. That leaves Izo, who is slender, well-mannered, and has the kind of skin women wish for. The pretty man trailed his fingers through his thick dark hair. I know, Thatch. But why can't we get someone else? I raised a brow at the man. This mission might be simple, but the simplest things can always go wrong. Our subdivisions are too busy with the business and with their side job, being a pirate, and the rest of the 16 commanders are men. Who are you proposing, Yoi? Izo sucked in his lips when nothing came to mind. Exactly. Let's get ready to go, Yoi. Thatch nodded and dragged Izo with her to go get ready. We were at the academy. Everyone else is either working here, on a mission, or at the business. Lazily, I walked to one of the few places that brought me comfort. Not bothering to knock, I walked into Pop's room with a heavy sigh. Pops is one of the 4 emperors. Whitebeard. What's wrong, my son? Pops asked when he saw my exhausted expression. I trailed my hands through my weird-shaped hair. Nothing. The case is irritating me a bit. No, I answered with a shrug. Large bags weighed under my eyelids, along with small indents on my tan skin. People say I have the body of a Greek god, but they don't know what I look like when I don't sleep. Small flames licked my flesh as my fingers started to glow. I touched the skin under my eyes. A hitched sound came from me in response. If you keep doing that, it won't be as effective. Why don't you get some rest instead of going on the mission? I'm sure Izo and Thatch can handle it on their own, and if not, Odin can go. Kazuki Odin, age 42, loud, blunt, my older brother. Kazuki Odin is the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. He is like Pop's brother, yet like mine as well. It's complicated in that right, but he is known for his skills with a sword and haki. I shook my head. I'll be okay, yoi. My hand waved in the air before covering my mouth to yawn. I smacked my lips together, realizing they were as dry as a desert, and sighed. You don't have to come, Marco. You can sleep better from now on because of our amazing lawyer. Thatch cheered as she entered the room. Izo came in behind her, holding one of the 2 bags needed for the mission. Thatch, can you hold this one? It's heavier, Izo complained. The 2 switched bags before Thatch continued. Anyways, you should have seen her pops. Marco drooled over her. Well, that's what Izzy said. Thatch twirled the large bag with her small hands. Even though Thatch is the only female commander, she is one of the strongest in terms of physical strength. Her armament haki is not something you want to mess with. Izo dodged the bag his wife was twirling and nodded. I've never seen our dear Pineapple look so intoxicated. I snorted as Pops laughed. Is that true, my son? Now I have to see her. It's not. I was only admiring her skills. Izo doesn't know what he is talking about. Yoi. I rolled my sharp eyes with pursed lips. My purple jacket tightened around my sculpted body as I leaned against Pop's large chair. The 16th commander swayed his hips. I thought you might say something like that. Always in denial, aren't you, Pineapple boy? But yes, Pops, I will show you what she looks like when we get back from the mission. Izo hummed. My brow scrunched. And how are you going to show, Pops? Yoi. My younger brother turned on his heels, letting the air catch in his silk kimono. Come on, Marco, don't tell me you are that old. Everyone has an Instagram. With the flick of his slender fingers, my brother pulled out his phone. Yes, Izo, and I'm not old, yoi. I huffed back. I do have social media accounts, but I don't post on them. Why would I? I have better things to do, like missions and the Newgate business. Izo slid his fingers against the screen until his eyes sparkled. I found it, he declared. Whitebeard leaned forward to look at the small device. Thatch placed her head on Izo's shoulder to look. A huff left me as Izo began to chuckle. Looks like I'll have to show you later. Her account is private. I'll request to follow it and send. Wait, hold up. My shoulders slumped from the triumphant grin my brother was wearing. She has an account with her siblings called ALSLS. The pure joy my brother was radiating made me grumble a curse. And it's not private, he squealed in excitement. All I could hear were the taps of Izo's fingers and the small giggles that came from Thatch. When I heard Pops let out a chuckle, I caved. Damn it, what is on there? Yoi. My body bounced off the wall to walk over to my family. Izo snickered from the pout on my lips and turned the phone for me to see. I have to admit, I did not expect to see that. Water dripped down her damp hair onto her exposed shoulders. Her brown locks smudged against her tan skin as her mouth parted from laughter. She was at the beach, wearing only an orange bikini and tinted sunglasses on her head. She sat on a man's shoulders, gripping his dark hair to stay balanced. The man had a tattoo-covered chest and black bottoms clinging to his legs. From their position and blissful expressions, I could tell they were close. Stop glaring, Marco. That is her big brother, Izo said in a teasing tone. I didn't know I was glaring. Shit. Clearing my throat, I tried to put back on my annoyed look. It doesn't matter, yoi. Me and Anne's relationship is strictly business. Thatch's finger swiped to the side, showing me a very familiar face. My lips parted a bit from shock as my throat went dry. Is that Shanks? Yoi. Thatch laughed from my high voice. I have been friends with Shanks for a few years now, but I never knew he had a sister, much less a very attractive sister. Shanks was pulling at the lawyer's freckled cheek, grinning like his life depended on it. The blonde twin, Sab, was also in the picture. She pulled at the other cheek, making Anne whine in the photo. Yep, Thatch said, popping the pea. My eyes switched back into a blank stare. That doesn't change anything. Izo rolled his eyes at my stubbornness before popping his lips. Anyways, we better get going, Pops. Me and my siblings gave a wave to Pops before leaving the academy. Something about the grin my captain wore gave me a weird feeling, as if he was hiding something. No, that can't be it. After a couple of hours, we arrived at the sea train to take us to the castle for the mission. There are a lot of different kinds of governing systems throughout the world. Most of them are monarchs, meaning kings and queens rule. This also applies to Fishman Island, where Queen Ottoheim rules. The Grand Line is a city where many military bases are located, so we do not have a king or queen. Right now, we are heading to the desert for the Kingdom of Alabasta. 0 equals 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 equal equals 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 0. Lopov. My tattooed finger gripped around the warm cup of coffee. My lips touched the rim of my cup as the steaming liquid slid down my throat. A sense of peace washed over my frame. I am like a new person when coffee enters my system. especially after a tiring shift at the hospital. But every shift is tiring when you're a surgeon. Nothing could break the tranquil mood I am in right now. Now that I have my coffee, that is. Well, that is what I thought until… Shit, a person muttered as their arm knocked into mine. My precious coffee went flying in the air until it spilled on me. Not just on me, but on my crotch. Fuck, I ceased, failing to hold the pain back. A swell of heat flared in my pants, and not in the good way. My eyes squinted at the body in front of me. When I realized I was looking at a chest and not a face, I gritted my teeth. Fuck. My head tilted until I was met with face paint and wide eyes. The man was tanned with crisp blonde hair peering out of his maroon hood. Strips with heart tips dangled from the hood, matching his pale pink heart shirt. He had on white pants and a feathery black coat that ended at the back of his shins. Dark blue makeup went under his right eye and red lipstick covered his lips. "I'm so sorry," the man uttered, his hands shaking in worry. Without thinking, the blonde took out a napkin and started to dab at my abdomen. I groaned from the burning sensation before grabbing the wrist of the blonde. If he gets any lower, this situation will only get weirder. It's fine, I mumbled through the undeniable pain. The blonde stepped away from me, realizing how awkward I felt. He put one of his hands behind his neck and gave a nervous smile. "I am really sorry. I didn't mean to. I am very clumsy. That's what my big brother says anyways. Wait, that is off topic." I watched as the blonde kept stumbling over his words. His meaningless ramble was calming in a way. It almost made me forget about the hellish pain I am experiencing on my groin. I waved my hands on the air for the poor man to stop. "It's okay, stop apologizing." The blonde's shoulders relaxed. He let out a long breath. Thank God. My eyes widened as some flames sparked on the blonde, completely out of nowhere. Sir, you're on fire." I tried to sound as calm as possible to make sure the man doesn't freak out. I don't understand how that could have happened. All of a sudden, flames just appeared on his side. Could it be a devil fruit? No, there is only one of each kind, so unless Anne is dead, I should call her. But after I get the fire put out of this man, my hands moved faster than my mind, making them palm the small flames before they could grow. "Oh no, not again," the blonde shrieked as he took off his feathery coat. The coat wasn't the thing on fire though, it was the man's pale shirt. "What do you mean again? This man is strange." A long sigh pushed past my lips when I saw that the fire went out, but a burn remained. "Thank you for all your help," the blonde's voice cut with a hiss when I pressed my finger on the burn. "It's not a 3rd degree, but it is a 2nd. Follow me, I'll bring you to my office." I pulled out my phone and started to swipe across the screen. I have 2 different phones, one for the academy and one for real life. In the pirate world, everything is advanced. For the Laugh Tale Academy, Penguin and Shachai make the technology. But, no matter how skilled they are, neither can compare to. "What's your office?" "Wait, I'm okay. Please don't be worried," the blonde said, waving his hands in the air nervously. A snort came from me. "I would, but you're so hopeless. Fire appears on you out of nowhere." My pursed lips and scrunched brows made the blonde frown. I know. I'm so sorry." The blonde started to bow, but instead of making it up to me with an apology, he hit me in the forehead. Another swell of stinging added to my body. "Damn it, you are hopeless." Oh my God. I'm so. If you say sorry one more time, I'll cut you." I cut off, wincing from the irritation in my pants and forehead. The blonde sucked in his lips and cheeks before nodding. Off we went, back to the hospital I came from. I am the head surgeon at the hospital, so I only come in when it is something urgent or life-threatening. I opened the door for the blonde, scared of what could happen if he tried himself. Seriously, this man is a walking death trap. Except, the only thing deadly about him is himself. When we got to the front desk, the female and male waiting there smiled. "It's nice to see you again, Dr. Trafalgar. But I don't think we called you in," the male said as the female looked at me with dimmed eyes, no doubt undressing me in her lust-filled vision. How comforting. I'm used to it though. Me and my older brother get those kinds of stares all the time, whether it is from men or women. More of my body weight added to the desk as I tried to sign my name on the register. "I'm sorry, Dr. Trafalgar, for making you do this, but I get it. No need to apologize," I said to the man. I placed the pen down and started to walk to my office. I could feel eyes attached to me while prancing around the hallway. Some were on me, but others were to the blonde. "Wait, what is his name? What is your name?" I blurted aloud, not giving the man any eye contact. He tensed up. It is Rocinante, but I know it is a mouthful. "Call me Corazon." My brow flicked from the nickname, but I ended up shrugging it off when entering my office. "Go lay down," I ordered. A satisfied snort left me when I saw Corazon sit down without causing injury to himself. While searching for a rag, Corazon decided to speak. "So it's not just me. You don't like anyone apologizing to you?" The blonde grew a smile. "That's very nice." His cheery words made me snap my head. I have to admit, I wasn't ready to see such a goofy grin painted onto the man's lips. "I'm not nice," I grumbled before finally finding a rag. With care, I dabbed at his melted flesh. "Stop moving," I grumbled again. but it hurts. The blonde's whine reminded me of Luffy's when I treat her. So, I used the same methods I use with her, or a 5-year-old child. Same thing. I tried to distract Corazon with questions. Why do you think I'm so nice? I kind of want to know the answer to this myself. No one has ever said such a thing. Well, besides my family and sector. But that is because they have broken through my tough outer layer. You are a doctor, right? You save lives. That's nice. Oh, and you helped me and I'm a complete stranger. Not to mention I spilled coffee on your crotch. Yes, it still burns. I finished, adjusting my pants to not touch the burn mark. Yeah, by the way, I am sorry. I get it, Corazon. I stopped dabbing at the wound once it was cleaned off and noticed that the blonde's grin grew. I like when you call me that, he blurted without realizing it. My head tilted in confusion from his dazed look, as if he reminiscing. Doesn't everyone call you that? Corazon blinked a few times before realizing what I said. Oh yes, they do. It just, never mind, am I all fixed up? The blonde started to move his arm before I could even answer, which he soon found out the answer when he tried moving and groaned in pain. Trafalgar, you made it worse. The hell I did. Stop moving around. Once Corazon was fixed up, I walked him back to the coffee shop. On the way, I stopped him from walking. Here, since you're a hopeless walking target, call me if you get injured. I handed the blonde a piece of paper with my number on it. A bubble of nervousness filled my stomach when I saw Corazon hesitate to take the card. Why I was nervous was a mystery to me. It's not like I am making a move on him. In the end, Corazon took the paper. Okay. Thank you again, Trafalgar. The blonde waved before walking away with a smile. I know I just met the guy, but something about him intrigues me. Or maybe it is because of the lack of coffee I have had in the last few hours. Doesn't matter now. I wonder how Luffy is doing on her mission. 0 equals 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 0. Run, Zoro. Run. You don't need to tell me that, Luffy. I shouted back, trying to catch up to the bubbling brunette. My tanned hands grabbed at the leaves and vines blocking my path. My feet moved at lightning speed, trying to make it out of here as soon as possible. One of my hands grabbed Luffy's thigh while the other clutched her shoulder. I flipped her to her side to carry her bride style. The extra weight caused my speed to decrease, but it's better than that thing eating her. My captain giggled in my arms. I thought this would be boring. This is so much fun, Zoro. What is fun about getting chased by a tiger? The animal behind us let out a growl as he opened his mouth to attack. I dodged the fangs by the skin of my teeth, no thanks to Luffy. She had this amazing idea to try to capture it while it was sleeping, even though I told her not to, multiple times. The plan, if she had one, failed, and now there is a large striped creature trying to kill us. Why does this happen whenever I am with her? Ugh, don't you see, Zoro? He must like us. That is why it is chasing us. You must be stupid. I'm not stupid. Stupid, Zoro. Yeah, whatever, shit. My heels dug into the dirt for a sudden stop when I saw there was nowhere else to run. In front of us was the end of a very high cliff. I turned around and put Luffy down. I was about to grab one of my 3 swords when a hand pressed on mine. Don't hurt him. I looked at my captain with a twitching brow. Why not? You have tons of animals, Luffy. Luffy puffed out her cheeks and held out her other hand toward the large feline. A bad feeling shot down my spine. Come, kitty, she demanded. When I saw the large cat open its mouth to eat Luffy's rubber hand, I acted quickly. I know she can take care of herself. She is my captain after all, but we don't have time to waste. We are on our way to Amazon Lily to deliver a message to Boa Hancock. Luffy and the warlord are friends, but that doesn't change the fact we are hours late. All because this idiot tried to take a new pet home. I mean, seriously, get a fish or something. My hands latched onto my captain's hips before pushing off my heels. Both of us dived off the cliff without a second thought. Wind caught in her red cardigan, making it flap in my face. Her jean shorts gripped her curved hips because of the yellow sash around it. Along with the long-sleeved cardigan, she had on white bandages around her chest. Shishishi. This is so much fun, Zoro. Luffy smiled, pulling her straw hat down into her shoulder-length hair. The jet-black locks were tied into 2 pigtails and her small feet were covered by sandals. With her whimsical laughter and familiar grin, I couldn't help but smile as well. Prepare to land. Both of us crossed our arms over our faces to stop the branches from hitting us. I grabbed her arm and pulled her to my chest before we could hit the ground. Luckily, we didn't hit the ground at all. Vines gnarled around my limbs, while the bubbling brunette on my chest laughed. That was awesome, Zoro. Luffy picked up her head from my naked chest and grinned at me. Something about her childish smile made me reflect it. Why are you smiling now? Because I always do when I am with you. Now, how do we get out of this? Luffy pulled at the vine to tear it off, but that only made the one around my leg tighten. Hold up, Captain, let me do it. No, Zoro, I can do this on my own. But Luffy, just let me cut it, egg. That isn't a vine, damn it. Sorry, Zoro, can you cut it? I was going to do that before. I hissed. I pulled out one of my swords and placed it between my teeth. My back hit the ground, along with a body falling on my chest. Luffy bounced off my body and dusted off her clothes. She beamed once she saw the large gates ahead of us. Golden arched gates sparkled in the sunlight, along with the steel bars aligned with them. There it was, the gate to Amazon Lily. That means we are one step closer to seeing the warlord, Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock, age 31, 6'3", black hair, one of the fans in Luffy's fan club. 3 years ago, me and my crew failed a mission. Not only did we fail a mission, but we struggled with the ones before. Luffy made a hard choice and split up the crew for 2 years of training. During that training, she went with Boa for a secret place to train with Rayleigh. Not only the Straw Hats, but so did the Galdi siblings. Our missions were so ahead, it didn't matter if we took time off. That is probably why we are almost tied with the Whitebeard pirates. Luffy grabbed my hand. Come on, Zoro. I don't think Boa will mind if you came too. Yes, she would mind. For some reason, out of our crewmates, the Empress hates me the most. Sure, might as well get this over with. I hopped onto my feet and fixed my dark green shorts. Yes, Luffy wrapped her hands around my waist before she crawled onto my back. For some reason, my captain loves to use me as a jungle gym. At this point, I have stopped trying to protest. Once her body latched onto mine, I walked to the gates. Yo, it's me, Hancock, future king of the pirates. Luffy waved her hands in the air to get the attention of the transponder snails. A click sound came from the snails when they scanned Luffy's face. The gates opened suddenly to allow us to walk in. When we did, there was a woman waiting for us. She had blonde hair that curled at its tips and large black eyes. Hey, Luffy, she cheered with the wave of her hands. Hey, Margaret. I gave a small wave to the woman. She let out a giggle from the position I am in. You two are so cute, she squealed. Luffy tilted her head from the comment, but shrugged it off. Let's eat. More giggles escaped Margaret from Luffy's grin and my eye roll. Let's get this over with. No, it is a clear suicide, I said under my breath to Penguin. He nodded in agreement and tucked his hands in his exposed hair. Shachai spun in my office chair in boredom. His mouth curled up to support the pen he was balancing on his lips. My office was quiet. Everyone is off today, only leaving me and Deuce to work on any cases. Deuce, masked Deuce in the pirate world, light blue hair, wears a mask, my childhood friend. I met Deuce in my young teen years at the academy. At first, he didn't like me. He thought I was a spoiled child because of who my father was. But soon enough, he gave in to my charm and dorkiness. He works jobs on his own. He sometimes works with the revolutionaries for information gathering. Deuce is a type B. He is mostly skilled at observation hacking. Me and him used to play pranks on the teachers in our classes. Sengoku too if we were feeling lucky. Shachai stopped spinning for a moment and looked at me. Why are we here again? Last time I checked, the case was closed. He took my pen away from his lips and placed it in the mug it came from. The right-hand man had on a white jumpsuit with nothing underneath. It was zipped down to his waist with his sleeves hanging off. This showed the tattoos that inked his arms. Penguin demonstrated the same look. Both their tattoos matched Law's. A sigh left Penguin. That is because this crazy client tells me it is not a suicide. He says it was a murder. With what weapon? None, Shachai said with a scoff. This extra work is cutting into his video game time, and he does not like it. Shachai and Penguin sleep over at my house often. Law has his own residence but doesn't live there. He uses it as his personal storage closet. My fingers pulled at my stuffy blouse with a groan. I hate wearing these things, I mumbled to myself. Then take it off. Both Penguin and Shachai said with a shrug. Since I walk around topless in the pirate world, both are used to the amount of skin I show. I have never liked wearing shirts, they are overrated. I pulled off the clothing without much hesitation. I let out a relieved sigh when cold hair touched my chest. A black bikini top held my breasts together. Shachai went back to spinning and Penguin went back to looking over the case. I slumped in my chair and started to shimmy off my shoes. I swear, I don't understand how Sab can wear so much clothing. Right now, my twin sister is at the academy. Her and Koala will be going on a quick mission. Maybe she likes punishing herself, Shachai suggested. I threw my top across the room with a satisfied hum. This is much better. Baby Annie, should we ask Captain to do an autopsy? Sure, why not? A ringing sound drew my attention. I looked towards my phone with a groan before picking it up. When I saw the number, I put the caller on speaker. Hey Deuce, are you heading out? Hey Deuce, Shachai and Penguin chimed in. Hey evil duo. And yeah, I am heading out. I wanted to tell you that there are flowers for you at the front desk. Flowers, me and the evil duo said in unison. Deuce chuckled. Yeah, check them out when you're done. Anyways, I got to go. When Deuce hung up, I stared at the screen. Who could have left me flowers? And why? 0 equals 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 0. Shanks looked up at the tall mansion with an exhausted expression. The redhead started to climb the building, realizing this was a bad idea before he got to his destination. Shanks got up the wall with ease. Years of endless training proved to be useful. His feet gripped the ledge with his rubber boots to steady himself. After a few knocks on the window, a shocked expression greeted him. "S.H. Shanks," Makino shrieked. She unhooked her window and opened it in a swift motion. "Yo," Shanks waved. He stepped into her room and landed on the soft carpet. Light blue paint covered the walls and velvet sheets laid on her bed. "Wow, you weren't kidding when you said you were a princess." The redhead grinned. Makino fumbled with her words as she tried to comprehend what was going on. "Shanks," she said again. She had on a pale green, long-sleeve, night dress. Her short green hairs were tied back by a blue bandana, and her curious, innocent eyes scanned Shanks. "Shanks Pav." Something about her adoring orbs made my smile grow. "Yes." I took off my jacket and took a seat on her bed. She continued to stare at me, even as I scooted closer to her. "I told you I would be back. Did you think I would break my promise?" Makino pulled at the sleeve of her dress, and no. "But so, what do you want to do?" The princess bit her lip in nervousness as she went into deep thought. Her curious eyes warmed over my frame again. "There isn't much to do here." I laid my back on her sheets and trailed my hands through my crimson hair. "Something about this place gives me a bad vibe. Almost like how my house used to feel. My old one, before Roger adopted me." "Then let's go somewhere else. You said you have never been outside before. Let's go." My head turned in her direction. I smiled at the look of wonder she was giving me. It was childish in a way. "Is that a yes?" Makino's lips parted to speak, but she ended up biting them again. We can't. One of my maids should be coming to check on me in a few minutes." The sparkle in her eyes dimmed. I moved closer to her until we were side by side. She flinched from how close I was but relaxed soon after. "I'm not giving up," I murmured, starting to rub my chin. The sparkle in her eyes reappeared from my words. She looked at my face with wide orbs and a smile. "You weren't kidding." My brow scrunched from her statement. I turned my body to the side to face her. When I did, the tip of our noses touched. I could tell she wasn't affected by the close distance, but I can feel heat rising to my cheeks. "Kidding about what?" I managed to squeeze out without stuttering. The charming smile on her face did not help my nerves. "You told me, when we first met, you told me you were stubborn." More heat added to my face. "You remember that? It was only a few days ago, silly." "Of course." Her laugh and soft words made my heart stop. "She is so pretty and endearing. It makes me want to know more about her." "Then I have a plan to get you out of here." I gave my signature charming smile. Most girls fainted from the look, but Makino only giggled with a nod. The lack of effect made me frown slightly, but I rubbed it off. "The plan is for me to hide in her closet till her maid comes. Then Makino tells the maid she is going to sleep for the night. It is a simple ruse. One me and my siblings did all the time when we had to spend summers with Daden. Daden, age 53, 70, scary hag, curly orange hair. She was our caretaker when our father was on missions and when our mother was busy. She is friends with Garp. Well, kind of. The two have a weird connection. She is part of the Daden family, a group of mountain bandits. They live by the far edge of the Grand Line. Garp told her about our family and the powers that come with them, then sent us to her without warning." The maid greeted Makino before the two started talking. All I could focus on was Makino, her smile and the way her voice can calm my nerves, not to mention her adorable accent. If I didn't know any better, I would say I have taken a liking to the woman. But I can't. I must keep in mind that she is a part of my mission. Her father is the reason I met her in the first place, to make sure there is nothing illegal going on behind the scene. If there is, she could be in danger. Though, so far, nothing bad about the man has been pointed out. And right now, I am off duty. Once the maid left, Makino opened the closet. "Coast is clear," she declared in a whisper. "I could tell. You should change before we leave," I said as I stood up. Makino is 5'5" in height, meaning I tower over her. She looked down at her outfit then looked up at me. "What is wrong with it?" she asked innocently, tilting her head while her childlike eyes scanned mine. "Because people are creepy," I blurted. A laugh escaped her. "True, this guy came through my window one time, even though I only met him once." Makino tapped her finger against her chin. "His name was Snoopy if I recall correctly." I rolled my eyes. "Wow, sounds like a creeper." She giggled from my sarcasm and gestured for me to leave for her to change. My back hit her bed with a small grunt. Her velvet sheets tickled my tough skin with small chills running through the air. My head was stuffed between two of her pillows, letting me smell her scent. At first, I thought I shouldn't be doing this, getting close to her and all. But I can't help myself. I can't imagine my life locked indoors like a sheltered princess. The smell of tea and cinnamon filled my nose, making me forget about the small doubts I had. Even her scent is interesting. My eyes trailed to the closet doors as they opened. Makino pulled at the long sleeves of her blue button-up to make them ruffle around her wrists. She had on a long red skirt that ended at her knees and a white bandana tied her hair back. Some of her green locks framed her face, parting in the middle so you could see her dark eyes. Well, looks like you're not a princess anymore," I commented with a chuckle. Makino looked up to me and tucked a few strings behind her pale ears. "It doesn't look bad," she asked slowly. "No, I mean, kinda. Matching isn't your thing, is it?" Her body stiffened from my words. I meant it as a joke, but it is too late to take it back. Color rose to her pale cheeks as she put on a skittish smile. I should go back and change weight." "Shanks," she squeaked when I pulled her hand. A surprised noise came from her when I opened the window to her room and stepped out. She followed at a steady pace, scared of what could happen if she fell. "Do you trust me?" I asked her once her whole body was out of the room. Her hand gripped my wrist as mine gripped hers. Her knees were shaking, begging to find some balance while her eyes settled on mine. "Yes," I smiled from her answer. A yelp choked out of her when my hand let go. I jumped off the roof in a swift motion. The house was 5 stories high. I could have died if I wasn't an assassin. Not like she needs to know that. My frame landed me in a leaf-filled bush. I looked back up at Makino, who was pressing her hand over her heart. I laughed at her relieved face and held out my arms. "Jump." The green-haired woman looked at me with wide eyes. She pointed to herself to make sure. "No, Makino, I am talking to the pretty princess behind you." I chuckled with a hint of sarcasm. She bit her lip from my laughter and pulled her arms closer to her chest. At first, I thought I would need to coax her more into jumping. But no, she leaped from the roof in one move. Her hair flew in the air and her eyes squeezed shut. A warm feeling swelled inside me from the fact she trusted me. Maybe she is as interested in me as I am in her. That wouldn't make things easier. One of my hands found her back as the other wrapped around her waist. Her head fell on my shoulder while her chest flushed against mine. I could feel small vibrations press on my torso from her giggles. "Well, that was my first time," she said with a smile. "Oh, trust me, there is more where that came from. I will make sure every little thing on your bucket list is checked off," I assured with a large grin. Both of us snuck off the premises until we got to the Grand Line. Makino turned her head around to take in the sight. It was adorable, how her eyes flickered in awe. "Where can we go?" she asked, her words flaring in excitement. "First we need to go to my work so I can check out for the day. After, we can do whatever you wish." "Wait, you have work, Shanks. That is irresponsible. You can't just leave," Makino lectured. She waved her finger in my face like a mother scolding her child. "Makino, I can leave whenever I want. I own the company," I said with a laugh. She stopped waving her finger and looked at me with wide eyes. "That is impressive," she blurted out. I pouted a little from her surprised tone. "Why are you shocked?" Makino gave me a nervous look from the statement before changing the subject. She asked me about my school experience. I was not surprised when Makino told me she never had such an experience. She was homeschooled by her father or her help. "I'm pretty sure you're smarter than me," I stated with a pout. "Probably, Mr. Snoopy." My frown deepened from the nickname. "Can you call me Shanks?" I suggested, opening the door to my building. "Maybe." I gave her a tour of my building. Even though I found it boring, Makino found it captivating. The woman gasped when I opened the door to my office. A squeal got caught in her throat and her eyes shimmered. "There are so many books." She darted to the bookshelves decorating my walls. "I don't like to read, not at all. The only reason I have them is for missions. Since missions are widespread, a lot of research is involved." Her fingers slid across every book on the 5th shelf as she slipped around the room. Her excitement and blissful expression made me crack. "Do you want to read them?" I got an immediate reply to my question when she gave a forceful nod. I sighed and took a seat on the couch in the corner. My office had bookshelves and photos decorating the walls. A small mini fridge was by the 2 couches I was sitting at. My floor had a maroon-tinged carpet, and my walls were a dark gray. My desk was large and cluttered with paperwork. Beside the paperwork was my personal laptop and work computer. Both shut off after I left. My black desk chair swirled when Makino knocked into it. Makino looked at the chair she bumped into, already carrying 5 large books in her hands. Her eyes drifted to a certain picture on my desk. "Is this your family?" I raised a brow at her. "I have many pictures on my desk. Most of them include Ben and Yasop." She placed the picture on the pile of books with care and walked towards me. She set the books on the wooden coffee table centered between the couches and picked up the frame. She sat down next to me and tilted the picture so I could see. A nervous smile appeared on my lips. "Let's forget you ever saw that," I muttered. Before I could snatch the framed photo away, she turned her body. "Is that you?" Her small finger pressed the glass where my face was located. The frame held 2 pictures in it, both embarrassing. The pictures were taken more than a decade ago, back when I was in my last year of middle school. In one, me and Law were placed in the sides of the photo, both of us smiling and showing off our braces. Anne and Sab were kneeling down next to us, Anne sticking out her tongue while Sab pulled out her cheeks with her gloved fingers. Luffy was in the center, her jet black hair parted in pigtails and her hands in the air showing a peace sign. In the second one, it was my last year of high school. All of us were in the same positions as the first, except our poses were different and we looked older. Anne and Sab now had braces and both their hairstyles changed. Anne had her hair up to her ears while Sab had hers at her shoulders. Luffy had her hair in a ponytail and Law's and mine were longer. The Galdi family is known for their embarrassing photos and poses. This picture is one of my favorites. Me and Law had our tongues out with our middle fingers flipped up. By that time, Law had tattoos that inked his hands. Anne and Sab closed their eyes, also sticking up their middle fingers. Luffy's was the best one. Her brows were scrunched, and her nose twitched. Both her middle fingers were in her mouth, pulling her rubbery cheeks apart with a tongue sticking out. "You look so cute in this one," Makino commented, pointing at the one with my braces on. "No, I do not." They kept cutting my lips, and whenever Luffy bumped into me it hurt for days. I huffed out. Makino giggled from the reply. She asked about each one of my siblings, starting with Luffy. I tried to explain to her that braces were not cute, but she only shrugged it off. "Shanks, are you back yet?" "Oh, it's a female," Ben said with his head peeking into the room. The way he said "oh, it's a female" made my lips purse from his obvious amusement. "Yes, Benny, I know you haven't seen one in a while." I shot back. "I know my right-hand man will tease me about Makino's presence, since I'm never with a girl this long. Dating is a hassle, so why do it? I'm not a virgin, but a serious relationship has never been checked off my bucket list. Nor is it on it, I think." Ben raised his brow at me before stuffing his hands into his pockets. He had on a tight short-sleeved shirt with a dark blue sash around his waist, along with dark pants to match the outfit. His long black hair was tied back in a ponytail with a swirly piece hanging over his face. "Shanks, you can't count your sisters as women you have seen," Ben said, walking over to me and Makino. A frown formed on my lips, but before I could say anything else, Makino spoke. "Sorry, am I not allowed to be here? My name is Makino, by the way." She left out her small hand to shake Ben's. When their hands touched, my eyes squinted in annoyance. Yay, now they are acquainted. "No, it's fine. My captain wasn't going to do any work anyways. My name is Ben. I do work all the time, Benny." I huffed, my voice raised from the annoyance I felt earlier. "You know, Shanks, you shouldn't lie in front of beautiful women," Ben said in his stupid, smooth voice. My brain started to malfunction when he gave a wink to Makino. "This can't be happening. Is Benny flirting? Is that even possible?" First, it wasn't a lie. Second, Makino likes her personal space. My hands pressed against Ben's chest with a grunt. An amused chuckle left him from my obvious jealousy. He placed one of his hands behind his head while the other rested on his hip. "Are you sure? You two seem comfortable to me." My best friend wiggled a brow at me. "Anyways, Yasop wanted you. I'll tell him to come up. I bet he would want to meet your little friend." Ben hummed. "I don't think that would be necessary. I would love to meet Shanks's friends." Makino smiled. "Of course she would." Ben nodded his head. "I'll bring them up." 0 equals 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 0. "What's wrong, Zoro?" Luffy asked me through the food in her mouth. Her hands were still moving at lightning speed, shoving everything she could into her rubber body. Her straw hat was on her back, showing her short hair. We were at the dinner room for the royal people of Amazon Lily. In short, we were at Boa's palace. At first, I was not invited, but then Luffy dragged me with her. Eyes attached to my body as soon as I stepped foot in this building. Of course, the glares were from a certain warlord. I have only met a few of the warlords, but may I say, she is not making me want to meet the rest. "Nothing, Luffy. Only thinking. By the way, we need to leave tonight. We have already been here for a day." I looked towards my captain. She was puffing out her cheeks with her eyes twinkling. Her give-me-pity look made me sigh. "No, Luffy." My captain snorted and went back to eating. It must have not been important enough for her to continue. She could have won the argument with ease if that was the case. Hands clapped together. "Were you guys there during the red carpet incident?" Margaret asked with sparkling orbs. The red carpet incident is what they are calling the event with Dr. Vegapunk. People are still talking about it, even though it has been more than a week since. But it's not every day someone cuts off the arm of a celestial dragon. Some say Vegapunk is going to be punished. but we all know the truth. He can't be punished. Sengoku will give him a headache from his constant yelling. But besides that, there is nothing they can do. Most people think he is a hero for doing what he did. Others think that he has no right to abuse his power the way he did. All in all, no one can stop talking about it. Anne and Sab are also carried along with the rumors. Some think Vegapunk knows Anne and Sab. That is why he protected them. Of course, that isn't true. Vegapunk acted because one of his own was about to be touched by the Celestial. He acted to protect. That is something I can respect. Yep, me and Luffy said in unison. Yes, well, the fleet admiral wasn't pleased. He set up a meeting with Vegapunk in a few weeks. Me and some other warlords have to guard the outside of the room, Boa said with an annoyed look. For being a warlord, the woman hates the government. The only reason she is one is because it gives her privileges. Boa used to be a slave for the Celestial Dragons. That's what Luffy had told me. Though I would never try to get further details about the subject. Boa was freed years ago, all thanks to Fisher Tiger, another man I have respect for. Me and Luffy have never met him, but I know Sab has. Fisher Tiger is Koala's adopted father. Luffy continued to shove food in her mouth as Boa complained about her life. I stopped listening again and thought about what I was thinking of before. The pirate games. It is in 4 months, yet Luffy hasn't brought it up once. It isn't possible for only one section of the academy to participate. Everyone in that academy must sign up. Well, everyone that is a part of the Roger Pirates. The Straw Hats are included since we work for Luffy. The revolutionaries would not, since it is an information corps. Zoro, tell me what you are thinking about. Luffy whined. She pulled at my cheek to bring me back to reality. My hand grabbed hers to remove it before speaking. Are we joining the pirate games? I asked in a serious tone. Everyone in the room went quiet from the question. The Roger Pirates haven't participated in years. But whoever wins gets a huge number of points. Since we are almost tied with Whitebeard, it would be the best call to join. But if we join, Whitebeard will we be able to beat them? Most of their crewmen have more experience. Also, that means more popularity towards Luffy and her siblings, since they will be the stars of the show. Emperors are not allowed to compete in the pirate games, nor is anyone from their era. That means the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates can't. Neither can Rayleigh and the rest of Roger's main men. The highest rank allowed in that competition is Luffy's, which means they will be facing the commanders. Duh, Luffy answered, as if it was the most simplistic thing in the world. Her answer made me wince. Please tell me. You didn't sign us up. By us, I mean her siblings and their sectors. My captain nodded and grew a grin. I did it before I left. It should be fun. Boa clapped her hands and started to swoon over Luffy's bravery. I would call it stupidity. I rubbed my temple with a sigh. We are screwed. With a dark blue cloth, I wiped the blood off my metal pipe. My best friend sent a kick to the last guard, plunging her heel into his stomach with a smile. Air knocked out of his body before he fell to the ground. Koala clapped her hands together before taking a seat next to me. What did you find? Are they smuggling drugs? She said with a brow raised. I can tell from the amusement in her voice she was hoping for them to be guilty. Sengoku wanted us to stop a drug trade before it happened. Me and Koala agreed since we are both skilled in undercover missions. There is a list. I'll put it on the drive, then we can go look for the drugs. Try to be discreet this time, I said, looking down at the pile of bodies on the ground. My best friend laughed. Come on, Sab. Live a little. Plus, it's not like we haven't done this kind of job before. I cupped my cheek with my gloved hand and let out a sigh. True, I blurted out, my eyes still trailing around the computer screen. Koala leaned on my shoulder. Who is the person running this? With a few clicks, I answered her question. Her name is Ava Grace. On the computer screen it showed a photo of the woman. She had short lashes with a round face. The amount of makeup applied to her made me cringe. I'll send the picture to Sengoku. I took out my phone and snapped a shot. Once it was sent, I looked at my messages since we had the time. My finger flicked against Anne's goofy photo to open our texts. I hope you're kicking ass on the mission. Don't forget to call Eustace. The reminder made me purse my lips. I almost forgot. I need to call him to testify against Califa. Ottoheim gave me his information. I already saved it to my phone. Who is Eustace? Koala asked. She bounced off her seat and started to search the bodies on the ground for anything useful. Her hands dug into pockets, pulling out wallets and taking a few bills out for herself. Have you heard of the model known as Eustace Kid? Koala's head snapped up to me, almost breaking her neck in the process. And no, my brow rose. Then why did you stutter? I did no such thing. Koala rebutted. I shook my head. Whatever it is, I don't want to know. Anyways, I volunteered him to testify on behalf of Marco Newgate. You know, Anne's favorite hottie. Yes, I do. Well, I need to call him. An exhausted exhale left my lips from the thought. That damn redhead, he gets on my nerves. My hand gripped my cheek harder while my eyes scanned over his contact. With hesitation, my mismatched orbs strayed away from the contact and onto an incoming message. Sengoku said he is sending in another local 2-man team. I read out loud. Koala let out an annoyed huff and moved on to the next man to mug. Is she that dangerous that we need help? My best friend scoffed under her breath. The place is more than 12 stories tall, and we have to search it before the sun rises. I tried to reason, though I also don't like the thought of help. Me and Koala don't like working with different people when it comes to missions. It makes things more complicated. I placed my chest on the desk and kept looking through my phone. I had on grayish boots, black gloves, my signature top hat, and a dark bandana over my mouth. Baggy navy blue pants tucked into my boots and a white cravat stuck out of my light long sleeve. A long coat fell over my back and my blonde hair was tucked in my hat, with only a few strings peering out. Koala had on a maroon cap, a dark skirt, and black stockings. Her top was a pale pink with long ruffled sleeves. Her ankle boots were a light brown, along with her gloves. She puffed out her cheeks and went back to searching. A gasp came from her when she peeked inside one of the wallets. Look, top hat, $100. She cheered with a smile. Koala, we are assassins, not muggers. I lectured. The brunette ignored me and twirled the bill in the air. She has been looking for money to get Fisher Tiger a birthday gift. I closed out the tabs and turned off the computer at the desk. I stood up and dusted off my clothes. Let's clean this up and meet the 2-man squad at the back. Koala nodded and began to move the men to the closet of the dimmed room. Which way do you want to escape? Koala asked. I attached my pipe to my back and adjusted my gloves to touch the window. Let's go. The glass slid open, letting cold air fill the room. My fingers pushed my locks back as I took a step out of the building. My hands gripped the material of the building while my feet landed on the small mini roof. Koala poked her head out and followed. Both of us climbed around the outside of the building, making light conversation as we went. There are new combat boots on sale. I moved my leg to push the tip of my boots in a crack. Her statement made me look down to scan them. We can go to the mall next weekend. I need a new pair. Koala squealed as a reply, excited to go shopping. Shopping is her third favorite thing to do. Number 1 being information gathering. Once we got to the back of the building, I took a seat on one of the windowsills. My legs hung off and my top hat tilted from the wind. The area was pitch black except for the stars blanketing the sky. My different colored eyes focused on them in awe. Ever since I was a child, I have always been interested in the stars. Koala calls me a nerd for it all the time, but I can't help myself. Something about them draws me in. Koala sat down beside me, scanning the area for the people we are supposed to be meeting. Your brother is opening up a bar soon, right? I nodded. Shanks's company started developing the design and plans for the building about a year ago. He will be making partnerships with wine companies soon. In about a month, I answered. And before you ask, yes, you are invited to the opening ceremony. No, I'm invited, Koala said with a smile. But I was asking if I could bring someone. Her voice became smaller with each word, but it still caught my attention. I gave her a side glance with a skeptical brow. And who is this someone? I leaned forward towards my best friend, pursing my lips from her nervous smile. She waved her hands in the air, and no one important, she said in a pig-like squeal. A sigh left me from her terrible lie. You will be questioned about this later. Koala tilted her head from the dropped topic, then looked at the gate entrance to the back. There showed 2 men, both of them I recognized immediately. One had long spiky blonde hair and a blue and white mask over his face. The other had their hair covered by a hood with a bandana over his mouth. Of course Sengoku would send them of all people. I rolled my eyes and debated on whether or not I should call them. But it was too late. The captain, the stubborn one who wouldn't take off his mask, looked at me with his sharp eyes. They were rose gold and glowed in the dark. His orbs targeted mine. When they did, he stopped moving. My heart rate increased from the look he was giving me, either out of nervousness or anticipation. This man is almost as bad as Kid in terms of how much they can irritate me. Why is he so stubborn when it comes to his face? And why is Kid so rude? I'll never know the answer to these questions. A snicker came from Koala when she saw us staring at each other. Are we going to talk to them, Sab? I blinked a few times when I heard her voice. Call me by my code name, I insisted. Koala shrugged, still keeping her teasing smile as she jumped down. Her boots clicked against the ground and her skirt ruffled with her movements. You two must be a part of that new sector, the one Spades runs. I watched my friend with scanning eyes, still perched on the building. There is no reason for me to go down there, not when Koala can do the talking. Though, she was acting strange. Speaking of strange, who is that someone? Spades, come down. Koala waved. She turned on her heels and taunted me with her knowing grin. Koala, like every revolutionary, are only called revolutionaries. Very few have specific code names. Unlike pirates, they can share their real names with whoever they please. Revolutionaries might work under my dad's academy, but they also have close work with different crews. Though, Koala doesn't work close with either, only our academy. Without a choice, I jumped down to join the group. It's the commander, Killer grumbled with a tinge of amusement. Something about him and Koala irks me. But why? Hey, I responded with a small wave, trying to keep my eyes away from the captains. So, what's the plan? Koala asked. We should start as two-man teams. One can take the bottom floors, the rest take the top. The captain interrupted. My brow twitched in annoyance from how rude the man was being. I can't believe it. I have 2 kids. Hold on, Sab. Calm down. For the teams we can do me and Killer, the Revolutionary and Sab. The captain cut off again. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Listen here. My eyes flared at the captains. I am the commander, so I make the calls. I huffed through my teeth. The captain turned his full body towards me. He had on yellow and black baggy checkered pants with a tight black shirt. I couldn't make out his body from the darkness. Were you going to say something different? His voice muffled from the bandana he wore. Something about his tone made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Yes, I answered, though it was a lie. The teams should be split differently. Revolutionary will be with your right hand, and me with you. Oh, by the way, you can either call me Miss Spades or Commander. My eyes narrowed as a challenge. The captain glared back as a test. But I ended up winning. He let out a snort and crossed his arms over his chest. Fine. Miss Spades. Wow, he really doesn't want to admit I am of a higher ranking. How endearing. We all split up. Me and Kid took the bottom 6 floors while Koala and Killer took the top 6. We agreed to meet at the middle where this Ava lady would likely be. The only problem is that I am now stuck with this stubborn fool. I'm telling you we should take the back. He huffed at me through his mask. His rose gold eyes sharpened when I rolled mine. No, let's go through the front. You're insane. I couldn't help but smile at the rude man losing his cool. What? Can you not take the pressure? Captain, my body pressed harder on the side wall of the building as my head turned to his. Even though all I could see was his eyes, I could tell he was snarling at me. Unlike you, I like to have a plan. He snorted. I do have a plan. My fingers flicked against my vest to open it. His eyes watched my movements with interest as I continued to take off some of my clothing. When my vest was off, I unbuttoned some of my white shirt before looking to him. Take off your clothes, I demanded. The captain raised a brow at my order. What? If we are going to walk in the front door, we need to look more less hostile. While explaining, I tucked my vest into my large coat. My fingers went to unbutton the bottom of my white shirt. I tied the ends of the shirt into a knot, making it look like a crop top. The captain, still skeptical, started to do the same. He unwrapped his coat to make it only hang over his shoulders, but then stopped. I don't want you seeing my face, he stated when he realized I was taking my bandana off. Of course he doesn't. This is a mission, that comes first. I'll take the mask off, only if you promise not to look at me the whole time. You have got to be kidding me. I rolled my eyes again and nodded. I have never met someone so fixated on keeping their face concealed, especially when we are in the same academy. But we are wasting time. I took off my bandana and stuffed it into my coat. Next, I took off my top hat and squashed it to fit into another one of my hidden pockets my coat has. My outfit might look strange for an assassin, but it is very useful. My baggy pants conceal my weapons that I use in case of emergency. My coat can hold almost anything you could think of without looking strange. And my boots are. While they look good and complete the outfit, my back turned to face the man, since he is so dead set on me not seeing his face. I pulled out a few pieces of my blonde hair to hide the scar on my eye. Let's go. His statement made me snort before we walked into the building. The walls were painted a light brown and the floor was made out of gray marble. The lobby was empty except for a few people scattered around. The reason why I said to go inside through the front is because there is a convention going on. It is taking place on the 4th floor, which is one of the floors we need to check. I, as always, did my research before coming here. Though, me and Koala just scaled the building the first time we came in. One of my hands went on my hips as they swayed side to side. When we got to the front desk lady, I gave her a sweet smile. Hello, miss. My name is Rebecca Silvers. I would like to check in for the convention being held upstairs. Wait, I'm sorry. Am I late? I signed up for 2 people, who were supposed to be me and Koala. But whatever. My fingers went over my mouth for a small gasp. But the desk lady giggled. No, it is fine. You and your husband are right on time. A surprised noise caught in my throat from the stubborn captain being called my husband. Husband. And no, we aren't like that, I assured with a nervous smile. The woman tilted her head. Oh, sorry, boyfriend then. My throat went dry from the statement, which for some reason was worse than the last. No, we aren't that either. My back stiffened when I heard an almost inaudible chuckle come from the captain behind me. I kicked him using the back of my heel for him to shut up. Then, baby daddy, the desk woman questioned. Does the word friend not run in her vocabulary? My cheeks heated up as the captain's chuckles became louder. The thought made my stomach turn. We are only 2 assassins working on the same side, and that is all we'll ever be. Why the hell does this woman does not understand that? Wait, she doesn't know that. Ugh, my fingers curled around the desk in frustration. We should have gone through the back. No, I'm her boyfriend. Anyways, can we go? My teeth dug into my bottom lip as a tingle shot down my spine. Amusement leaked out of the man's tone. It made me curse myself for getting so flustered. That is Anne's thing, not mine. Damn it. The woman smiled. Well then, we must test you out first. What do you mean by that? Well, since you are going to the convention, you must know about the topic. Anime. Third POV. Kid froze from the statement. At first, he thought the mission was going well. After all, he is the one with the upper hand. Unlike Sab, he knows her identity and has seen her in real life. He even knows her job and siblings. It's not stalking, more like having blackmail if needed. But this topic isn't something he is familiar with. What do you mean by test? Are you going to ask us questions? When the desk lady nodded, Kid frowned. Unless Sab knows about the topic, their cover will be blown. The blonde shrugged. Bring it on. Not only is Sab familiar with anime, all her siblings are. Shanks was the first to bring up the hobby. Then Anne and Sab followed. Luffy as well. Law refused to take any part of such a waste of time but then got interested a year later. Sab always has a few tricks up her sleeve, and being a weeb is one of them. Okay, first question. What was the first theme song for Naruto's Follow? Heroes Come Back by Nobita. Which show is Death the Soul's Eater? The show is about a boy who was born without a Q. My hero. Kid didn't know whether he should be shocked or amazed by the woman in front of him. Amazed by the fact she is answering the questions with such speed, but shocked about the fact the commander is such a dork. The desk lady handed Sab a paper. Here, you got a perfect score. I hope you and your boyfriend have a great time. The commander took the keys and gave the desk woman a wave goodbye. Once we got into the elevator, Kid put on his mask so Sab couldn't see his face. I never thought you would be such a nerd, he commented with a smirk under his mask. Sab turned on her heels with a brow raised. It's called a weeb, and it got us through, didn't it? She said in a challenging tone, daring the rude captain to press her buttons, which he did. Sorry, Commander Dork, but it is still strange. Didn't I tell you to call me Commander? She took a step forward and looked up to the masked man. Her chest puffed out and her head tilted upwards to look him in his eyes. The buttons she opened made it so more of her chest was exposed, causing her blue bra to peer out. Kid kept his eyes on her, scanning her mismatched orbs with hidden interest. Something about them has always caught his attention. The scar marking her beautiful face is almost like a sin, engraving something so angelic, yet he rather her with it than without. I did, Commander Dork, he responded. Sab is trying her hardest not to take out her pipe and beat him with it. She is a level-headed person by nature, but this stubborn man is proving to be a big obstacle. I can't let him get to me, Sab thought, taking a deep breath and moving away from the captain. She decided not to talk to him while they searched the floors. It was more practical that way. She is on a mission, he is on a mission. That is something she must remember because that is what the academy trained her to do. Once they got to the last floor to search, they were met with security. The commander pressed her back against the painted wall and tilted her head to look through the hallway. A sigh left her. Guards. Her body crouched down as Kid leaned over her to look. Looks like 4, not that bad. How are we going to get past them? The captain tried scanning each one for a way. The guards had dark blue and white uniforms on with the word security across their chest. In the report Kid received from Sengoku before coming here, it told him the mission. A woman named Ava Grace is harboring a large amount of drugs in this building. Apparently, she is a rich woman who owns it, but covers it up by hosting events. Kid wasn't informed about the drug list, only that vague summary. Captain. Kid tilted his head down and saw Sab on all fours between his legs. His vibrant eyes met her dimmed ones as her head gestured to the wall next to her. On the wall was a vent, big enough for her to squeeze through. If I figure out a way to open it, I'll surprise the guards and take them out. Simple, she said in a whisper. Kid nodded. I got the vent. Before Sab could ask how, Kid flicked his fingers in the air and triggered his devil fruit. Eustace Kid type X, red hair, doesn't like to show his face, hot head. Kid's devil fruit allows his body to be like a magnet, making him able to retract and repel objects using the magnetic field he produces. His life on the Grand Line is either spent modeling or building houses. The man is an architect, along with his crew. He can build and fix anything. And if needed, he can use his devil fruit in doing so. The man is only a model to promote his business. The screws of the vent jerked and fell out of their sockets. Sab watched in amazement. She's never heard of his devil fruit before. Not like she knows anything about the man to begin with. Not even his face. Kid leaned down and placed his hand in the vent. The metal stuck to his fingers, allowing him to remove it without any noise. Sab scanned the ability with wide eyes. She would be lying if she said she was not interested. Stop drooling, Commander Dork, Kid said with a smirk from above her. I was not. She huffed before moving herself through the gap the vent provided. She was barely able to fit but made it through. A door was on the opposite wall, leading into the hallway with the guards. The room was empty, and the only light came from the small window on the door. Sab reached down her pants and pulled out a small knife. hardening the blade with her haki. She traced small circles in the glass without making a sound. Once the circles were made, she licked the tip of her finger and took the pieces out. Next, she traced a bigger shape in the glass. Once that was done, Sab pushed her hand into her pocket and pulled out a gas bomb. Her teeth pulled on wire before tossing the object down the hallway. First came the gasps, then the fizz of the gas. Sab pressed her back against the door, with one hand holding her mask tight against her nose. There is a door. A guard choked out. His body turned towards the door as an escape. But before he could touch the knob, Sab reached her hand through the hole she made. Her fingers wrapped around the man's neck and hardened with haki. No one can beat Sab when it comes to her grip. It only takes 2 fingers for her to end someone's life. It is her favorite move. She smiled under the mask when she saw life leave the man's eyes. The gas cleared within a few seconds. Sab opened the door with a kick to move the dead guard out of the way. Well, that is one way. The blonde looked over to the captain. Both of his hands were over his muscular chest and his rose gold eyes looked at the bodies. We should move them, he muttered. Kid's eyes stopped wandering and landed on the man by the door. What caught his attention was the deep purple marks around the guy's neck. It looks like the bone in his neck was crushed. How did she do that? Choking, of course, but it must have been haki. Even so, that looks brutal. Sab started to move the men by herself. It didn't take much work because of her physical strength. When that was done, she clapped her hands together and urged for Kid to follow her. Both kept running into the same problem. Guards. We must be getting close, Kid whispered. His hot breath stuck to Sab's skin from their close proximity. They were hiding in a small closet after a close call. Sab's back was pressed against Kid's chest with her butt on his thigh. The blonde could feel every inhale and exhale he took on her back. It was almost uncomfortable in a way. Her discomfort caused her to bite her lip and shake her leg a little. Kid grunted from her shakes. It kept making her butt pushed more on his thigh. He needs to find a way out of here and quickly. There are up to 10 guards in the hall. If we try to take them all, it will cause attention, damn it. I can't think when she keeps moving against me. Do you have to piss or something? Stop that. Kid seethed in annoyance. Her movements are more distracting than he would like to give her credit for. I don't have to piss, you moron. She hissed back, her legs shaking faster from nervousness. Then stop moving against me. I'm not. What the hell do you mean I'm not? I can see it. The commander snorted and turned around. Her back pressed against the door of the closet and her chest pressed on his. She squinted her eyes at his vibrant ones and raised a brow. Are you happy? Her cheeks puffed out after the sentence. Kid has officially brought out her childish side. Yes, as long as you don't piss on me, dork. Sab gripped his shirt from the comment. His head tilted down, making their noses touch. Shut up, the blonde mumbled back. Her orbs glued onto his as if it were a challenge. Kid did the same. Make me, he responded slowly. Both were so close they could exchange breaths. Sab pressed herself closer to him, keeping her eyes on his as her breasts pushed against him. Kid's eyes went off hers to trail down her face, ending at her exposed lips. For some reason, the flesh taunted him. It was pinkened from her teeth nipping at them in full. His glare softened from them, almost dazed from the sight. Well, until I think I heard voices coming from the closest. Both Sab and Kid stiffened from the statement. They looked around for a place to hide, but there was nothing. When the knob started to wiggle, Sab did the first thing she could think of. The guard pulled his body back to open the door. He froze when he saw what was on the other side. Sab had her body smushed against Kid's while her lips pressed onto his mask. Her eyes were squeezed shut in fear while her hands clutched his chest. Kid stood still, more shocked than the guard from the action. See, sir, miss, you cannot do that here. The guard squealed. Sab let out a relieved sigh when her plan worked. When she was about to pull away, Kid leaned closer to her. She flinched when she felt his covered lips on hers again. One of his hands landed on her hip to steady her. What is he doing? The hand squeezed Sab's side, making a whimper leave her before she could realize. Her face heated up from the noise she let out while Kid couldn't help but smile. He trailed his other hand up and down her side, only stroking it softly. The effort was to try and calm her nerves, but Sab was too flustered to think. Her fingers twitched from lack of experience, barely able to grip the captain's shirt. Never mind. The guard slammed the door shut and Kid let go of his hold on Sab. From the loss of balance, the blonde fell on the door. Her knees pressed together, and her hand went to the pipe on her back. With a flushed face, she hissed at the captain. Why die? She pulled at her pipe and realized that the room was too small for her to take it out fully. Kid's cheeks puffed out from his held-back laughter. Seeing the blonde flustered and stuttering is the most fun he has had all day. He has to admit, he would love to see it more often. You're the one that kissed me, dork. He spoke, in a very demanding way, may I add. He watched as more color added onto Sab's face, making it as bright as Kid's hair. It was for the mission, she reasoned. They still had to keep their voices down in case the guard came back again. Yeah, well, so was that, he said with a smug look, though it was still covered. He pressed his body on Sab's like how they were before. His head leaned down to make their faces inches apart to get a better look at her blush. But, I'm pretty sure you just wanted to kiss me. Sab's face almost made Kid fall down and cry of laughter. Her expression turned mortified as more red gathered. And it gets better. I did not. Hey, get away from me. Her hand pressed against Kid's mask to keep at bay. Well then, you bought us some time. What's next, dork? If you would get away from me, I could think about it. She hissed. Kid moved back and puffed out his chest. Why don't we call Revolutionary and kill her? He dug his hand into his pocket and clicked the head of the small transponder snail. It gave out small buzzes as it rang, but in the end, no one answered. Kid sighed and pushed the item back into his clothing. We need another way, he muttered to himself. Sab took deep breaths to calm her raging heart rate. You need to stay focused. This is a mission. Keep it together, Sab. She shook her head to get her thoughts in order. I think I have an idea. But it's not a good one. Kid raised a brow at the claim. Let's hear it. The guard gulped when he saw the door open. Him and his fellow security were scared for what they would see. All of their jaws dropped from the couple's position. Sab had her legs wrapped around Kid's waist while her hands tied around his neck. Her fingers were flexed to dig into his muscular back and her eyes squeezed shut. Kid had his hand on Sab's thigh to support her. His other hand was roaming around her back. Kid still had his mask on, pressing his face against Sab's. She thought this would be the only way for them to be able to leave without being questioned. When they turned the corner, Sab pushed herself away from the captain. Let go of me, the blonde growled. The captain shrugged and dropped her without a second thought. He patted himself off. Let's get this shit going. Kid was cut off by the metal pipe pointed at his neck. Sab snarled at him. If you tell anyone about this, I will kill you. She pulled back her weapon and turned around. The commander refuses to let the stubborn captain see her this fluster. Why did I have to come up with that stupid idea? The pair continued sneaking around until they met up with Killer and Koala on the middle floor. What took you guys so long? Koala chortled. Sab puffed out her cheeks and stood behind her best friend. Let's get going. Killer looked towards his captain and noticed his amused expression. What did you do? Kid only smiled under the mask and didn't answer. The group continued around the area, avoiding guards and moving through vents to stay out of trouble. They stopped in another abandoned room. Koala looked around each wall of the room. Have you noticed something strange, Spades? The commander nodded. Yeah, there are a lot of empty rooms in this place. Way too many for such a large building that holds many events. Her fingers traced against the small marks on the walls before a thought came to mind. Killer, I want you to start searching around this room. Captain, you do the same. There must be something they are hiding. Koala. Sab pulled out one of her knives and handed it to her best friend. I want you to carve into the lower part of this wall. They all nodded and followed the order. The commander crouched down and pushed her finger against the wall. The wall isn't hollow, she said aloud. Sab rubbed her chin and flexed her brow until an idea popped in. Koala, use your knife to cut into the floorboards. The best friend did as told. When her knife wiggled in the crack of the board, it popped off. Sab and the others smiled at the packed white and blue pills stuffed into the compartment. Bingo. Sab pointed to Killer. Call Sengoku. We need to know. A hand cut Sab off. It was Koala's. Koala pressed Sab against the wall and put her index finger on her lips. Footsteps echoed in the hallways right outside the door. It made the air run cold as the tension ran high. Kid and Killer scooted over to be out of the line of sight from the window. A muffled curse left Sab when the knob of the door started to jerk. She pushed out of Koala's grasp to crawl towards the door. Her hand pressed on the wall and winced when the door started to open. A man, about 7 feet tall, took a step into the room. Koala's body was still covered by the shadow, along with Killer and Kid. The only one that could be seen was Sab. If the guard had a chance to turn around, that is. Koala pulled back her middle finger and tucked it under her thumb. Sab noticed the movement and nodded to her best friend. When Koala flicked her finger, a sharp pain stabbed through the man's chest. His hitched breath was muffled when Sab's hand went over his mouth. She pulled the guy back while Killer slowly shut the door. He sighed when he saw no one else was in the hallway. The click of the door closing made some of the tension evaporate. Sab used her left hand to grab the man's neck. After a few seconds, he stopped struggling in her arms. She let go of the limp body. That was too close. What did you do, Revolutionary? The right-hand man asked. Koala tipped her hat with a smug look. Fishman karate. Fishman karate is a special type of martial art that lets the user manipulate water, whether it's the small water droplets in the air or the current of an ocean. Koala learned this from her father, Jinb, and Hack. Hack, age 38, Nintwo, thick mustache. He is a fishman soldier and a trusted revolutionary. Him and Koala are basically family since she is the daughter of Fisher Tiger. But he was never a part of the Sun Pirates. He also doesn't have the mark Koala bears on his back. Well, isn't that handy? Sab raised a brow from Killer's statement and from the way he said it. The two stared at each other as if Kid and Sab didn't exist. That is when the pieces clicked. Koala, don't tell me. Sab started to rub her temple from the realization. The best friend hummed in confusion from Sab's sudden mood change. He is the someone, isn't he? The way Koala froze from the statement made the blonde sigh. Killer scratched the back of his neck while Kid looked back and forth between the three. What are you talking about? Another sigh came from Sab as she scooted away from Koala and into the corner. Wait, Top Hat. Don't be mad at me, Koala said in a whine whisper. When she tried to move closer to her childhood friend, Sab moved away. She got up and stepped in front of Killer. The man looked up from his seating position. Look, I know you don't know me. That is not my problem, Sab interrupted. If you mess with her, I'll kill you, simple as that. But, her finger shot out at Koala. Once again you are being reckless. Having relationships is a dangerous game in the pirate world. Have you filled out the papers? Koala shook her head. Forms? Koala shook her head again. Did you even tell Sengoku? Koala didn't answer. She only looked away and puffed out her bottom lip. Sab sighed for the third time before taking out her ring. The ring was made out of black steel with the letter S in the center. These are special rings. One's Penguin and Shachai made for her birthday. It was her father's idea to make them. That is why each sibling gets one at the age of 16. Her finger pushed onto the ring until a blue screen popped up in the air. Sab touched the screen and scrolled through it. She stopped when she saw a notification come up on the screen. It was her sister. Can I answer it? The hallway is empty outside. But what about Luffy's identity? Well, Killer and the captain are from the same sector. With a long exhale falling from Sab's lips, she answered the call. Yo, Spade's here. Yo, are you still on your mission? I got back from mine. It was so much fun. Sab could tell her youngest sibling was excited, which isn't surprising. Luffy is always excited. Sab leaned against a wall before falling down it. Yeah, I'm still on my mission. Did you only call to check on me? Ruffles came from the background before Luffy spoke again. Our brothers made us dinner. I wanted to ask if you'll be home soon. Also, did you get Ivan's email? It's so cool. How could an email be cool? Sab thought before pulling the file up. Emporio Ivankov, Ivan for short, age 51, large purple afro, revolutionary. Ivan is a type X. The way he uses haki is as unique as his devil fruit. He is known as the miracle worker, which isn't far off. On the Grand Line he owns a bar and gym, both right next to one another, and works there when she isn't busy. The bar is called Candies. Sab squinted her eyes before reading the message out loud. He wants us to make a music video. Sab looked towards Koala for an answer. Her and Ivan are close co-workers. Plus, Killer and Kid do not know who Ivan is. They only know his code name, the Miracle Worker. Koala shrugged her shoulders as a reply. Do you know why, Luffy? Yes, well, and does, I forgot. But still, it sounds awesome. I can't wait. The youngest beamed, more fired up than ever. I have to go. Come home soon, Sabby. I will, Luffy. When the call ended, Sab noticed a different kind of tension floating in the room. But she couldn't place where it was coming from. Sengoku said to wait. He is sending another two-person squad to take care of it. Killer read. Koala puffed out her cheeks. Why can't we do it? He said there is no need. Plus, these people are more in this field. Who are they? You'll see. Sab rolled her eyes at the answer and waited. They only had to wait 10 minutes before an explosion went off in the hallway. None of them flinched, but all looked towards the door. When it opened, it showed a blonde man. He had tinted sunglasses and a bandana covering his face. A maroon hood hid some of his crisp golden hair. He had on a black suit with a vibrant blue tie and dark dress shoes. They stared at the man carefully until he spoke. We got it from here. A shadow came from behind the man. Everyone recognized him in an instant. He had on a matching black suit except with a pink tie. His spiky blonde hair was pushed back, and his eyes were shielded with curved glasses. It was Donquixo Doflamingo. Donquixo Doflamingo, age 34. Blonde hair, type X, warlord. Since the warlords are pirates sworn to protect the military, their identities are public. Doflamingo is known for being one of the more ruthless ones out of them all. He has his own crew and doesn't ally with any of the emperors. If he is Doflamingo, then who is the guy next to him? Sab thought, looking at the man beside the warlord. She shrugged when she realized she wasn't going to get an answer to her question. The group walked out of the building, all thinking about the mystery man with Doflamingo. In the end, Sab gave up on the thought processes and headed home. She waved goodbye to Koala, who was walking with Killer and Kid to her house. At least she is happy. Sab smiled a little and turned on her heels to walk home. Luffy bounced up and down on her older sister's bed. Her legs twisted and flung around to dodge Anne's fiery hands before they burned her rubber skin. Leave me alone, Lou. Anne groaned. She is not a morning person, and she never will be. The freckled twin stuffed her head into her pillow and let out another groan. Come on, Annie. Don't you want to go to Candy's for more information about the music video? It sounds so cool. Luffy started to laugh from the thought, and took this time to send a kick to her little sister's feet. Luffy bounced like a rubber ball through the brunette's room, not showing any sign of pain. Come on, baby Annie. This is getting ridiculous. Luffy looked towards the door and saw Penguin. His golden eyes landed on Anne's dazed ones and his arms crossed over his chest. I'll get Shachai and we can do this the hard way, he offered. Bring it on, Anne hissed. Her hands gripped her bed sheets, not ready to give up the comfort of sleep. Luffy looked around Annie's room and noticed something different. As always, there were posters of her crush littering the wall, as well as pictures of her family. Their mom and dad don't live with them but do come by from time to time. They have a house on the Red Line, and since their dad is known by every pirate, he can't come to the Grand Line often. Not because he can't show face. Even though he is a famous pirate, he walks around the Grand Line, sometimes to see other pirates. What can people do anyways? Try to kill him. They don't call him the king for nothing. Many pirates have tried, but all have failed. It is even more difficult since normal people cannot know about power holders. So, their dad walks around freely, but the reason he doesn't visit his children is because of their identities. He doesn't want pirates to know his children's true faces. Roger prevents this by using a different way to come inside his children's home. There's a secret passageway that connects their home to his academy office. Their mother doesn't need to go through all that trouble. She can walk around where she wants. Rouge has made it her life goal to not be involved in the pirate world. As for the other members of Roger's crew, they are safe to come by. Penguin stepped inside the room, followed by Shachai. The man cracked his knuckles and flexed his neck before flicking his fingers, and began to float from the motion since Shachai has telekinesis, and hissed and twirled in the air. Let me sleep. Shachai ignored the statement and started to walk out of the room, with Anne floating behind him. Luffy grinned and bounced out of the room with Penguin. Penguin took off his hat, showing his short raven hair. The sunlight clung to his gold piercings, 3 lobe piercings and 1 helix. I haven't seen your full face in a bit, Luffy noted, still bouncing towards the kitchen. Penguin hummed in agreement. Unlike Shachai, Penguin isn't very loud when alone. Yes, he is comfortable around Luffy, but naturally he is more of a quiet person on his own. When the sweet smell of bacon graced Luffy's nose, her speed increased. She hurried down the steps of her 4-story home. Her mind couldn't keep up with her speed, making her trip and fall down the steps. Before her face could hit the ground, a pair of arms caught her. Lou, you need to slow down. Shanks laughed. He put his youngest down on her feet and looked up at the floating Anne. Well, don't you look great? He said sarcastically with a chuckle. Anne's short hair was frizzy and over the front of her face. The orange tank top she had on clung to the small abs on her torso, which were less defined than her brother's. The gym is like Anne's second home. After she works, she goes to Candy's boxing ring and spends hours working out. The gym and missions are the only way she can blow off steam. Sab sometimes joins, but she is more into academics if anything. Luffy loves the gym as well, but she rather do different things to make her less bored. Anne pulled up her red sweatpants with a grunt. Put me down, Shachai. The right-hand man shrugged and put the hot-headed woman down. She crossed her arms over her chest and flopped onto the couch. Her legs fell onto her other brother and her head buried into a pillow. Law snorted from the action and glared at her feet. How long did you stay up last night? Move your feet. His tattooed fingers pressed against the middle of her foot. She jerked from the touch and frowned at Law. I don't know. I know I was awake when Sab came home. Yes, she went to bed hours after though. Sab interjected, peeking her head out of the kitchen. The only people that can cook in this house are Shanks and Sab, and will burn the house down. Luffy thinks recipes are optional, and Law is too much of a perfectionist. He will take an hour to measure the right amount of liquid. Shanks, come finish the eggs. Law, Penguin, Shachai, set up the plates. Sab walked back into the kitchen after her orders. Shachai and Penguin basically live here. They even have their own room. They share a house with Law, but since Law doesn't stay there often, neither do they. Besides Shachai and Penguin's room, there are 2 guest rooms, one of the brothers' floor, the second floor, and one on the sisters' floor, the third floor. The underground floor is where most of our mission supplies are. It also has a lab for Law. Anne and Law got up to sit at the table, as well as everyone else. As always, there was a massive amount of food on the table, since most of them can eat for 10 people. Luffy and the twins eat the most. Next would be Shanks. Law's eating habits are the opposite. He eats less than a normal amount or doesn't eat at all. He sometimes forgets with his busy schedule. What are your guys' plans? Shanks asked, stabbing his eggs. Sab answers first. We and Anne are working on the case. Anne raised a brow. We are. She picked up her orange juice and started to chug it. Yeah, we are going to the Newgate Company. The statement made Anne's eyes go wide. The orange juice in her mouth rushed out of her nose. She couched and winced from the stringing while Law pursed his lips. That is disgusting. He lifted his hand. Room. A small blue bubble grew from his palm. The older brother mumbled something under his breath and switched out his clothes and the tablecloth. Anne's head snapped to her twins. You never told me, Sab. The blonde twin shrugged. I told you multiple times, you just never listened. When? Last night, she answered with the shake of her head. Last night. Anne swiped her fingers against her phone. She hasn't looked at it in a couple of days because a certain younger sister threw it into the pool in their backyard. Anne rolled her eyes from the memory and kept moving her finger. When she was done looking through her texts, she went to her Instagram. At this time, Sab walked in. The blonde placed her coat down on the couch Anne was sitting at. "Hey, is everyone else asleep?" Sab asked. Anne looked up from her phone and smiled. Law might be still awake, but yeah. How did the mission go? Sab opened the fridge and took out a water bottle. Very exhausting. Further details will be explained later. The brunette nodded and went back to looking at her phone. Her eyes went wide when she saw a follow request from the one and only Izo Newgate. "Oh, by the way, Anne, Marco asked us to visit his office tomorrow. Try to behave. You'll be alone with him for about an hour. I have to pick up the files from the office." Anne was too busy staring at her phone to hear Sab's warning, which is why she was not prepared for the next day. "Sab, I was fantasizing," Anne shouted, as if it were a valid reason. Sab let out a sigh and shrugged again. "We will be heading over there in an hour or so." "Shit, I need to shower." Without another word, the crushing brunette ran up the stairs. Luffy watched her leave with food flying into her mouth. She knows Anne has been crushing on Marco for the longest time, but she doesn't understand why. The man is gorgeous. It's just the crushing part Luffy doesn't get. She knows the basics of a relationship, kiss and whatnot, but that is about it. Sex isn't a secret to her either, but since she hasn't experienced it, she doesn't get it. Not that she minds. She will never be love-struck like Anne. Law continued the conversation. "What are the rest of you doing?" Luffy raised her hand. "Me and Zoro are going to Candy's for the music video." "Shishishi, I can't wait. How about you, Law? Aren't you going to be in it too?" "Oh, and you too, Shanks. All the Galdi siblings are participating." Law nodded while Shanks shook his head. "Benny is making me come to the office to finish paperwork I didn't do a few days ago. I'll come by in a few hours." Shanks cupped his face and chewed on a piece of bacon. The reason he is behind in work is because of Makino. He ended up spending hours with her. When she had to leave, it made a sea of sadness wash over him. But that only made him crave her presence more. "Something about that woman interests me and I will find out what. Stupid Benny can't get in the way of that. I might arrive a little later. I need to go by my office to pick up supplies. Then I need to do an autopsy related to one of Penguin and Anne's case." Law sighed. Penguin and Shachai smiled at their captain while Sab raised a brow. "What other case?" Shachai answered her question. "Anne is helping us prove that this man's wife committed suicide. We asked Law to do an autopsy to check the woman's organs and stuff like that." Sab nodded. She didn't have a problem taking on another case or two. "How did your mission go, Sabby?" Koala said it was super interesting. "I want to know." Luffy oppressed. She stretched her arm to Sab's plate, but the blonde smacked it away. "Interesting isn't the way I would describe it." Sab began to explain her whole mission. She tells her siblings everything, and Shachai and Penguin are some of her closest friends. Vibrations filled Shachai's and Luffy's stomachs as they laughed at the story. Law shot his blonde sister a knowing look while Shanks displayed a teasing grin. By this time, Anne came tumbling down the stairs in only a towel. "Sab, help me choose what to wear. Why are you guys laughing?" Sabby had her first kiss with the new captain. Penguin exclaimed while Shachai started to make childish kissing noises. Sab rubbed her temple. "That isn't what happened. And we have to go to the store first, so wear something casual." "Wait, so you kissed the new captain? Did you see his face?" Anne beamed at her twin, only to be shot down by a glare. "No, and I don't want to see his irritating face. I kissed his mask and it was for the mission." Anne snickered from her sister's obvious annoyance. Luffy scrunched her brow from Anne's statement but decided to ponder it later. "Shishishi, I have to go. I'll see you guys later." The rest watched the bumbling youngest zoom out of the door at lightning speed, taking food with her. Luffy ran down the streets of the Grand Line. She waved and smiled at passing people. A lot of people know who Luffy is. She basically makes friends with everyone she meets. "Luffy, my love." Someone from behind Luffy called. She spun around and started to walk backwards. A grin spread across her face. "Hey, Sanji." Her lovesick cook twirled towards her with hard eyes. Sanji has been a part of Luffy's crew for years now, so she is acquainted with his pervy tendencies. "Oh, Luffy, my love. Your smile lights up my world." The two continued to walk together. Sanji was going to the office while Luffy was going to Zoro's. The office isn't far from Zoro's house for two reasons. 1, it is right above the Laugh Tale Academy. 2, they made sure Zoro lived close so he wouldn't get lost. Not like it worked. "Why didn't you ask me to come with you to Candy's, Luffy? That mosshead can't treat you properly." Sanji huffed. The captain laughed. "You have a project to work on with Nami and Robin." Sanji's eyes turned to hearts from the mention of other ladies. "That is very true." The two parted after a few more minutes of conversation. Soon enough, Luffy arrived at Zoro's house. The bumbling brunette took out her personal key and opened the door. Zoro's house was a spacious one-story. The house was a 3-bedroom with 1 bathroom. Luffy pulled off her red jacket and placed it on the counter. leaving her in only a white tank top and shorts. She stretched her arm and grabbed the fridge door to open it. Her other hand reached inside to grab whatever food she could hold. Munching on the items she gathered, she headed to the back of the house. In the back is an indoor dojo a friend built for them a few years ago. The very close friend. Her small fingers pulled at the sliding door till it revealed 2 men sparring and 1 woman watching. The woman watching had light pink, curled hair, with large eyes and slightly tanned skin. She wore a tight black blouse, hot pink boots, and a white miniskirt. The guy Zoro was sparring with had jet black hair, impressive sideburns, and sharp golden eyes. His body was more muscular than Zoro's and he only used 1 sword. Hey Haki, hey Perona. Dracul Mihawk age 43, 6'5", a 7 warlord, Zoro's adopted father, Haki for short. Mihawk has known Luffy since her and Zoro became friends at the academy. He is aware of her true identity since his son is on her crew. He is also close friends with Shanks even though he is years older. Mihawk and Shanks battle from time to time, but they can only do it on a deserted island. Mihawk is also the man who holds the title as best swordsman, a title that Zoro will claim. Perona age 25. The adopted daughter of Mihawk, an ex-member of the Thriller Bark Pirates. Perona is Zoro's older sister and as a result, she fights more with Zoro than Sanji does. She used to be a part of Gecko Moria's crew but left when an incident happened. She was molested by a member of the crew named Absalom. When Zoro heard about this, he and the Straw Hats stormed the place and destroyed it. The rest of the members are still alive and are somehow still counted as a warlord crew, but they did suffer a major loss. Zoro and Mihawk unlocked their swords and turned to the woman. Mihawk comes by his son's house for training and small get-togethers the family has. Zoro and Perona live in the house together for 2 reasons. 1, neither one of them are dating anyone to live with at the moment. 2, they both can't afford to live alone. You would think Zoro would have more than enough money to live alone, but he has other expenses. 1, most of his business paycheck goes to the alcohol he drinks that they produce. The Straw Hat Company has a wide variety when it comes to production. They have close connections with Shanks and Mihawk when it comes to alcohol. Zoro's job is to keep that connection stable. 2, his paycheck from the pirate world goes to the destruction he causes on the missions. 3, his other expenses go to bills and Luffy's food budget. Perona gave a snicker to her younger brother. Zoro, your captain is here, she announced in a teasing manner. The older sister has been teasing her brother about Luffy since the day they met. Luffy ignores it, not understanding the reason behind the teases. Hey Perona, fuck off, Zoro hissed back. Make me, she countered. The 2 began to butt heads. Mihawk sighed at his children, wondering how he got through their teen years. The father took a towel and started to dab his naked shoulders. Go take a shower, Zoro. Perona, are you going to see Nijiko? Perona turned her head to her father and puffed out her cheeks. Yes. Zoro took a towel from off the wall. It's a miracle you have anyone that would want to hang out with you, he mumbled under his breath. Hot air blew out of Perona's nose. What did you say? You heard me. Once again, they started to bicker. Mihawk left the room and Luffy followed him. Yes, Luffy. The older man is familiar with the woman's personality. She only gives him that look when she wants something. He would never say this out loud, but he respects her as a captain and is glad his son is her crewmate, even though she is one of the most reckless people he has ever encountered. You know what's coming up, right? In a few months, Shanks' birthday. Of course I know. The man started to push his feet into his boots. Are you going to go there with him? Luffy pressed. The man nodded and left the house with a few goodbyes towards his children. Luffy went back into the house and sat on the couch. Perona, do you guys have any more food? Perona raised her brow and waved it off. Ask Zoro when he comes out of the shower. I have to meet Nijiko. Nijiko age 22, 5'7", purple hair, scary like Nami, Nami's sister. Nijiko also knows about the pirate world, but she was never interested in it. She works with her mother at their tangerine orchard. Perona started working there after she left her crew. The 2 have become friends in a way. Luffy waved goodbye to the older sister and started to skip to Zoro's room. She jumped on the bed and let her rubber body bounce on the sheets. When her frame settled, she looked around the place. She has been in Zoro's room multiple times, and each time she always looks in one area. She got off the bed and headed towards her best friend's closet. On normal terms, this would be considered snooping, but Zoro doesn't care. It's Luffy, his captain, his best friend since they were 8. Why would it matter if she looked through his things? It's not like he is hiding something. Her small finger gripped the shoebox on the top shelf. She pulled at the box until it was settled into her hands. Luffy walked back to Zoro's bed, less energetic than she was prior. The bumbling brunette hates opening this box but can't stop from doing so. When the lid came off, a heaviness filled the air. Pictures, tons of pictures of Kiwana, Zoro's ex-girlfriend and his other childhood friend. Many of the photos have Luffy in them. The 3 of them used to be great friends, until she started dating Zoro in high school. For some reason, Zoro started to avoid her after the fact. At that time, she was friends with Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Robin, and Chopper. They told her that it was because of their connection and that Kuina didn't like it. Luffy didn't understand what they meant by it, but always dwelled on it. The two dated for a long time, making Luffy feel worse after every passing day. But that all changed 2 years ago. Kuina left for some special training with her father. As a result, Zoro and her broke up. Luffy doesn't know all the details. She is just happy Kuina is gone. You miss her. Zoro's voice broke through Luffy's thoughts. She looked up to see her green-haired best friend, scrubbing his wet hair with a white towel, his boxers hanging low on his hips. Luffy plastered a small grin from the statement. She closed the small box and put it back while Zoro changed. The moss head began to talk about his training with his father, but Luffy wasn't listening. She was too fixated on the box in her small hands. Luffy knows why she is feeling this way. She knows why Kuina's presence irks her, but it's something she never wants to admit. Her and her siblings talk about anything and everything. She realized her true feelings when Anne and Law explained the concept of love to her. Because of this, her siblings also know about her feelings towards Zoro. So does her crew in Koala. She put the box back and turned on her heels. She plastered a large grin on her lips. Let go, Zoro. Zoro pulled his white skirt over his impressive chest. Sure. Law pulled at his hat to block some of the sunlight beaming at him. I told you, Shachai, I need to check a few things at my office. Then I can take a look at the corpse. After we can go to Candy's. Stop whining. The older man huffed through the phone. Originally, the brunette wasn't going to go to his job, but he has this weird feeling that he must, and his instincts are never wrong. The grumpy surgeon had on spotted jeans, a dark blue hoodie, and his white hat. When it comes to his fashion choices, he'd rather be comfortable than trendy. If the occasion calls for it though, he will not hesitate to dress the part. With the help of Sab, of course. Law sipped his coffee and continued to make small glances at the people walking by. He is known around the city for being one of the best doctors. He pushed his hand against the glass door of the hospital. The air was cold and stale and the waiting room only had a few chatters afloat. Law isn't surprised. It is a hospital after all. This time, there was only a male by the desk. Good morning, Dr. Trafalgar. I see you came for your patient. The man greeted. Law raised a brow. I only came here to check on my office. I shouldn't have any patients today. The man saw the confusion written on the surgeon's face and shot out his finger. That isn't your patient. He said he was. Law turned his head and was met with a familiar nervous grin. He pursed his lips and trotted over to the walking disaster. I saw you not even a week ago. How did you get hurt again? Law said, unamused. The blonde scratched the back of his neck. Sorry, I kinda tripped and well you know the rest. Law let out a heavy sigh and scanned Corazon. The blonde had a few bruises patterning his neck and went down his shoulder. Also, there was a stain on the left side of his shirt. Did he spill food on himself? No, that stain looks like a liquid caused it. Come with me. Law gestured for the man to stand up. Corazon's height was quite intimidating, but Law was indifferent to it. Why would height matter if the man could barely walk straight? He is almost as bad as Anne when she is stressed. The brunette twin also has a tripping problem when she is either nervous, anxious, or anything in between. It is not only tripping, but it's as if everything around her messes with her. One time she managed to give Shanks a concussion just from making toast. They both are lost causes. Yet, I'm stuck with helping both. Something about Corazon makes Law feel the need to help him. It could be because of the goofy grin he gets in return every time. Or it might be an unjustified instinct. The walk to Law's office was filled with silence. Corazon was too nervous to talk, feeling as if he was wasting the brunette's time. Once they got to Law's door, the surgeon finally spoke. How did you get hurt? You should be more careful. Law lectured. His nose scrunched and his chest puffed out, signaling that he was not pleased. For some reason, Law's nagging calmed Corazon's nerves. Maybe it's because it's how the raven-haired man shows he cares. The bruises are from my brother. Law's head snapped to the blonde so fast his neck ached. His ash-colored eyes held something malice. It almost made Corazon shudder. The blonde put his hands up in defense. It was training. My older brother would never hurt me. I swear. Law's body relaxed. He blinked as his eyes changed back to their usual dull look. He gestured for Corazon to sit down. Take off your shirt too. The blonde nodded and started to peel off his clothing. Law opened his work computer that laid on his desk and typed in his password. Once it opened, he sighed. I forgot. I need Shachai to check my laptop because the screen is messed up. I guess I have to use my personal one, which I left here last night. Law went behind his desk and pulled out his laptop back, then his laptop. He opened the device, but before he could do anything, Law, I think I'm stuck, Corazon whispered. The brunette turned around and rubbed his temple at Corazon's state. The large man was in the middle of taking off his shirt, but his head got stuck. The blonde continued to pull, even though it was obviously not working. The surgeon took this time to scan the blonde's exposed chest. I can tell he is eating healthy. He must also do a lot of physical activity. Firm muscles covered the man's torso with some stretch marks near the bottom of his back. He must have had a sudden growth spurt as a kid. The surgeon scrunched his nose at the burn mark on his skin. How did you get that burn mark? Tattooed hands tranced around the burned flesh on Corazon's side. The gentle touch made the blonde stiffen. Law, answer the question. How did you get that burn mark? Law's fingers pressed harder on the Corazon's skin. He has a speculation on how the blonde got burned. He just doesn't want it to be true. I spilled coffee on myself. Corazon let out a nervous chuckle when he felt Law's hands pull up his shirt. When Corazon's head was free, Law pushed him to sit down. Let me tell you what I think happened. You tell me if I'm right. Corazon gulped but nodded. You were on your way to see me after you saw those bruises. Corazon nodded. Law started to pace around the room while rubbing his chin. Then because you are nice. The blonde smiled at the compliment. So nice that it makes you do stupid things. Law added, making Corazon's smile turn into a defeated frown. You bought me coffee, since where we met is only a few blocks away. Then, about halfway here, wait. That is too generous. When they handed you the cup of the steaming liquid, you split it on yourself. Corazon slumped his shoulders and avoided Law's knowing gaze. The surgeon's guess was right on the mark. And it makes Corazon embarrassed. Law fixed him up the first time they met and didn't even charge him, and he can't even get the man a coffee. Corazon felt like he failed the brunette. A sudden pain lanced over his body, causing him to shudder under Law's touch. Law rubbed his finger with more care over the burn mark and sighed. Next time, just come straight here. His voice was low and barely audible, but made Corazon's eyes light up. Waves of joy rippled through the blonde, so much that it beamed out of him. Law raised a brow at Corazon, not understanding why he was so happy. Come on, let's fix you up. Law pressed Corazon until his back was on the small platform he sat on. Law examined the other marks on the blonde's well-built body before cleaning the slight burn. The bruises on your body will heal in a couple of days. Tell your brother to take it easy or next time he will suffer the consequences. Law snorted. Corazon let out a chuckle before hissing at the rag Law pushed on the burn. The blonde started to wiggle in discomfort, like Luffy when he had to clean her wounds. How did you know what kind of coffee to get me? Law asked. It was the first question he could come up with, knowing the blonde relaxes more when he is talking. Oh, well, it was a guess. I thought you would like it black, so that's what I got. Corazon answered nervously. You were right, I do like mine black. Good guess. Once again, Corazon beaked with joy because of Law's minor compliment towards him. Hey, Law, I think I want to. Captain. The door swung open along with the loud voice. Corazon jumped from the voice, making his head slam against Law's. The surgeon winced and cursed from the impact before rubbing his temple. Corazon gulped when he saw something in Law's eyes turn dark. At first he thought it was towards him, but when the surgeon turned his head, he began to growl. Shachai, I'm in the middle of something. A mop of messy brown hair peeked into the room. Next to him was his partner in crime. Both wore identical clothing, plain white jumpsuits with a tight black shirt underneath. The one with the sunglasses laughed. Sorry, Captain. We thought you'd be finished. You said you have no patience today. Corazon gave a weak smile to the two men. When Shachai and Penguin realized Corazon was in Law's office, shirtless, their minds went wild. Law sensed their mischievous side coming out and shut it down. Don't even think about it. He is a patient. The blonde slumped his shoulders from Law's words. We would never suggest such a thing, Shachai said with a dramatic gasp. Penguin copied the man's actions and pressed his hand on his lips. The Law, we are just wondering why such a sexy man is in your office. But, Shachai started to wiggle his brow playfully at his captain. If you were doing something so scandalous, you could tell us. Penguin leaned closer to his captain's face. Yeah, you can tell us anything and everything, Law. Both shared an amused twinkle in their eyes. The surgeon let out a sigh before picking up his tattooed fingers and poking the two men in their shimmering orbs. Penguin stepped back and winced while Shachai whined as he rubbed them. You can't do that, Captain. It hurts. Law rolled his eyes and took a seat in his chair. I would say sorry, but I'm not. He shrugged his shoulders with a bored look, causing Corazon to chuckle. The brunette tilted his head to look at the blonde. What? Law's voice was more curious than annoyed, even with his printed scowl. Both Shachai and Penguin looked at the patient and doctor before flicking back to each other. Shachai gave a puzzled look while Penguin shrugged. It's nothing. I have never seen you show any kind of emotion. It's nice, Corazon answered honestly. The goofy grin he gave Law made the surgeon tilted his head away. The only emotion I am feeling now is irritation. His ash-colored eyes narrowed into his right-hand men. Shachai gave a nervous smile while Penguin found a sudden interest in the wall next to him. Anne blew at her dark hair with puffed-out cheeks. Her rubber boots kicked in the air as her body adjusted to the metal she was sitting on. The cold material brushed against her flesh, making her sigh blissfully. Sab looked down at her sister. You know Anne. She started, looking up and down at the older twin. Anne wore a black tank top with baggy orange and white camo pants. Her short hair was tied up in a small ponytail. The older one was sitting in a grocery cart, surrounded by the piles of food they needed to buy. Anne's feet hung off the side while her eyes scanned the phone in her hand. Yes, Sabby. Why are you the older sister when your actions match a 5-year-old's? Anne froze from Sab's statement and snorted. She crossed her hands over her almost flat chest with a glare. That's not true. To prove her point, Sab shot out her finger towards a nearby cart. In that chart held a small boy with light blue hair and chubby cheeks. From his size, Anne could tell he was about 5 years old. The blue-haired boy was sitting in a grocery cart, same as Anne. Well, I'm sorry. I don't like to walk, the brunette replied, even though that was not her reason. Anne is sitting in the cart so she can stare at her phone. Her eyes are glued to the follow request Izo sent her. Anne, follow him already, Sab insisted, throwing something else into the cart. Sab, you don't understand. Anne whined. She picked up her phone to show her blonde twin the request. This is the most important thing that has happened in my life. Sab sighed before pressing her finger against the screen to accept the request. Anne's eyes went wide. She retracted her phone, but it was too late. Sab, how could you? Like you weren't going to accept it. Anyways, we need more food. Anne puffed out her cheeks and jumped out of the cart. Once her feet touched the floor, she slipped and her face planted onto the tile. Sab rolled her eyes and ignored the brunette as she whined from the pain. Sab picked a few more items from the shelf next to her. She glanced to the front of the aisle, debating on whether or not she should continue shopping. That is when she saw him. The second annoyance in her life, Eustace Kid. The redhead wore worn-out blue jeans with a tight, short-sleeved, black shirt. His flame hair looked slightly damped and his golden-tinted orbs were placed on the man to his right. Next to Kid was a blonde, a familiar one at that. Hey, Annie, Sab whispered, her foot nudging at her toppled sister. Anne grumbled and slowly picked up her head. Yes, Sab? By the way, fuck you. Yeah, you might want to turn around. As if on cue, when Anne turned her head, that was when the blonde turned his. Their eyes met and for Anne it gave her a heart attack. The blonde next to Kid was Marco. Marco wore gray pants with a light blue button-up. His glasses laid on his nose and his smile made Anne forget how to breathe. Sab noticed something between their stares. Both have the same look in their eyes. She rubbed her chin from the thought before pausing from a nearby snort. Hello, she greeted through her teeth, turning to Kid. The smile she put on her face made Kid reflect it. Both expressions held something behind them. For Sab it was irritation, for Kid it was amusement. Sab broke eye contact with Kid to look at Anne. Are you ever going to get up? The brunette struggled to get off the ground as heat applied to her face. The tip of her nose stung from her kissing the ground, but she ignored it. Marco's blue orbs trailed down her body as she dusted herself off. The tank top she wore ended at her mid-stomach and affixed to her semi-defined abs, while her bottoms hung low on her gorgeous hips, almost as a tease. His eyes went back up to her face and saw her nose was red, along with her tan cheeks. Are you okay, Anne? Yoy. The blonde walked closer to the girls, with Kid shadowing behind him. The reason Kid and Marco are at the store was to get supplies for the agency. Kid and Marco are friends, so going along with each other wasn't a big deal. Kid could be hot-headed at times, but Marco sees no problem with it. When the Newgate's fingers touched Anne's face, her cheeks flared up in an instant. Marco noticed her slight discomfort and backed away. Sorry, Anne. I didn't mean to be too forward. Yoy. The red on Anne's cheeks doubled. No. It's fine. Sab decided to interject before her twin's head explodes. Hello, Marco, Eustace. We were just about to go to your agency. Do you mind if I drop these off and meet you there? Her finger pointed at the items in her cart. Marco turned to her. Sure, Yoy. No problem. That's great. Can Anne go with you guys? The brunette snapped her head towards her sister with a growl, but Sab ignored it. Kid shrugged. He doesn't have a problem with Anne since he never met her. Marco smiled and nodded. Only if Anne wants to, Yoy. Anne only stared at Marco's half-lit blue eyes, unable to form words from the smile on his full lips. She swears her heart stopped beating for a moment. Why, yeah. She squealed. Well, there you have it. I'll see you guys later. It was a pleasure to see you, Eustace, Sab said with the tilt of her head. Kid gritted his teeth. The pleasure is all mine, Sabrina. For some reason, the way Kid said her name made her grip tighten on the cart. She walked away before he could annoy her further. Kid watched her leave with a triumphant snicker. It is always a pleasure to annoy you, Galdi Sabrina. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.